Joe, good to see you. How you doing? Evening. How you been? Mike, good to see you as well. How you doing, brother? How you been? Comatose, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Okay. Let's do... Billo, what's up, brother Miles? It's CMF. Good to see you as well. How you doing, Billo? How you been? Let's do a breakdown of what we're going to talk about on tonight's episode of CMF Live. So, on tonight's episode, any XRP case or news, we'll go through it. Free and forever, good to see you as well. How you doing? Evening. Hey, Dale, good to see you as well. How you doing? How was your meeting yesterday? Not meeting, it was just a birthday party. No meeting. Dennis, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? So, let's do a breakdown of what we're going to go through on tonight's episode of the CMF Live. On tonight's episode of the CMF Live, episode 184, we're going to go through the European Central Bank news. The European Central Bank has published a very harsh article regarding Bitcoin. It was basically a study test that the European Central Bank did, and doesn't make Bitcoin look good in any sort of a way, and could have some implications on that matter as well. We also going to be going through the news topic on tonight's live show regarding US banks. Apparently, US banks' unrealized losses soared to 7 times. So they're getting close to 2008 crisis levels. We're also going to talk about on tonight's live show regarding the matters of Brics. Brics Pay. Now, we recently talked about Brics Pay launching, and we talked about Russia launching Brics Pay, and it was announced at this big summit. But we're going to go a little bit more detail into the whole Brics Pay situation regarding QR code scans, regarding the rubles that were used for the test payments, and so on. So we're going to go through that on tonight's live show as well regarding Brics. We're also going to be talking about a crypto project we rarely talk about on this live, which is Cardano. And it's mainly because the founder of Cardano maybe have said something absurd. But we'll leave that to everybody else's opinion once I get to that news. Then we're going to go through the news story on tonight's live show regarding another crypto project we rarely talk about since essentially I announced what the project was a very long time ago, which was Platon, which is LAT in other words. LAT apparently is now going to be incorporated into Telegram to expand on its user bases as well. We're also going to talk about tonight's live show regarding BlackRock. Something quite amazing is coming out of BlackRock regarding BlackRock continuing an aggressive BTC buyout spree. And we're also going to go through a news topic on tonight's live show regarding also BlackRock's build token as well, which is going to be revolutionizing futures trading with major exchanges. Apparently, Binance and BlackRock and a few other exchanges are going to be working together. Then we're going to go for the news topic on tonight's live show regarding Brad's perspective, CEO of Ripple, Brad's perspective on the matter of XRP ETFs that have been swarming around right now. And we're also going to talk about tonight's live show regarding the New York mayor, because the New York mayor was a very, very pro-crypto person. However, it started going sideways. So those are the news topics we're going to go through on tonight's live show on the CMF episode of 184 regarding the New York mayor, regarding Brics, regarding BlackRock and Binance, 2 crypto projects that we're going to be talking about on tonight's live show as well. Data reports that are showing that banks are reaching levels as they did before back in 2008, the major crash, and the European Centralized Bank being against Bitcoin. So before we go for any of those news topics, just want to say to everyone, welcome to the CMF Live. If you're watching this for the first time ever, welcome to the CMF Live. This is episode 184. Every single night you can tune to this episode where I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations. And then we also do Q&As on this live show as well, which means it is a live. Don't be shy. If you do have a question, even if you're new inside the crypto space, put your questions down inside the comment section. And the disclaimer of this live show, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. So if you're watching this for the first time ever, welcome to the CMF Live show. If you're a regular, let's go CMF. And thank you so much to everyone that's retweeting this live right now, get notifications. Thank you so much to everyone that's retweeting this live on X and liking this live on X as well. To all the CMF, thank you so much for that. And for the comments that you're putting outside the live as well on the video itself on X. And thanks so much to everyone on YouTube who's watching us right now, who's also liking the live as well right at the beginning. So let's go inside the comment section first before we go through the European Central Bank news. Let's see where we were at there. Hey, buddy, could you look at Gory Network? I can show. After, we'll go for it, no problem. What else? Good to see you. How you doing? Hello, Miles of CMF. I'm glad we are live tonight. Let's go, Scott. Girl coming over. I got Brics, mate. I mean, just weird. Sometimes we get the most weirdest people. Miles, I hope that your meeting went well yesterday. No meeting. There was no meeting yesterday. Inside a Telegram group, I put the reason why there was no live yesterday, and that the lives will be continuing as normal. But the reason why there was no live yesterday is because I was invited to a birthday party. That's why essentially there was no live yesterday, but it wasn't a meeting. I put inside a Telegram group of this live the reasoning why there was no live yesterday. It was a birthday party, not a meeting. But thank you. Shelly, morning, Miles. Feels like deja vu seeing you today. You're back. Shelly, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? I'm excited about tonight's program. Help me share the live. Let's go, Scott. Definitely share the live if you do get a chance. Good evening, party boy Miles and the CMF family. Thank you, brother. Good to see you as well. How you doing? Hey, Miles and CMF. Hope everyone is good. Ronnie, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been, brother? Hello to my CMF on YouTube. Let's go, Scott. I'm excited about the live tonight. Help me share it. Let's go, Scott. Vibe. Hi, Miles. Good to see you as well. How you doing, Vibe? Manny, good to see you as well. How you doing? Good evening, Miles and CMF. So, first news topic on tonight's episode of CMF Live Show is regarding the European Central Bank. Apparently, the European Central Bank publishes a very harsh article about Bitcoin. The European Central Bank has published an article criticizing Bitcoin, drawing a strong reaction from the leading Bitcoin analyst Tor Deemster. According to Deemster, the ECB, the European Central Bank paper, describes Bitcoin as a threat and claims that early adopters are stealing economic value from later participants in the market. Deemster sees this criticism as a move to justify essentially possible harsh regulations such as heavy taxes or a complete ban on Bitcoin. Is something that's going to be apparently discussed in the European Central Bank to be very, very harsh on Bitcoin. Deemster called the ECB, the European Central Bank stance, stupid, criticizing the bank for failing to see Bitcoin as a technological paradigm shift akin to the internet or the oil industry. Instead, the European Central Bank argues that early adapters have increased their wealth and consumption at the expense of latecomers. So apparently the European Central Bank is angry that people inside the retail section that are buying Bitcoin now are basically just feeding and essentially funneling money into the pockets of people who hold tremendous amounts of Bitcoin. But that is just how a market works. Look, the thing is, I can't even understand why there is a criticism. Because in some cases I can say, I understand why there's a criticism, but here's my opinion on the matter. But this time around, I can't even essentially agree with any of that, because that's just how a market works. Some people buy early, some people buy in the middle, some people buy late when it comes to any sort of assets in the market space. So if the European Central Bank is gonna come out and say essentially people who are buying Bitcoin later on at these prices are just putting more money in the pockets of people who already own a huge amount of Bitcoin, that's just how the market works. It's like saying, people who are buying Apple shares now are putting money in the pockets of people who own lots of Apple shares, or people who buy Microsoft shares now are putting money into people's pockets that have a lot of Microsoft shares. It's a stupid thing to say for the European Central Bank, to be fairly honest. It's a very dumb thing to say. Deemster argues that this portrayal ignores the technological advancements that have driven Bitcoin's growth over the past 15 years. The European Central Bank's paper reportedly advocates legislation to prevent Bitcoin prices from rising and even see Bitcoin disappear altogether to avoid what it describes as a fragmentation of society. Deemster noted that the authors also included models that predicted a small amount of Bitcoin would be available to new entrants, painting a dire essentially picture for late adopters. Criticizing this view, Deemster said that Bitcoin adoption has always been its technological superiority and utility, which is true. When it comes to crypto assets, there's this, I don't know what it is, it's politicians mostly. When it comes to crypto assets, politicians sometimes see crypto assets as just like stocks, for example. When you go to the market, you go to the stock market, you're buying a stock, and that's pretty much it. It's just a stock. People tend to forget, especially politicians and European Central Bank members, apparently, that when it comes to crypto assets, you're not just buying the asset, you're buying into the utility of that asset. which gives you more value over time, depending on what that asset does. Deemster expressed concerns that this was the most aggressive stance taken by the authorities against Bitcoin since he began monitoring the space, warning that the central bank, the European Central Bank, economists now view Bitcoin as an external threat and may resort to any means necessary to counter it. Deemster concluded by arguing that the issue is not simply a divide between the rich and the essentially less fortunate, but rather a battle over basic individual rights. For Deemster, the conflict represents a struggle between advocates of individual freedom and advocates of essentially collectivism and central plannings. So apparently, the European Central Bank is doing some sort of discussions and going back and forward on should they impose heavy taxes on Bitcoin? Should they maybe ban Bitcoin? Because they're saying not everyone inside the European Central Bank is thinking like this, just to put it out there as well. There are some morons inside the European Central Bank who are thinking that Bitcoin is bad for society and the retail section shouldn't buy it because it's bad for them. Because they're buying in too late, which means they're adding more money into the pockets of people who already own lots of Bitcoins. It's the most dumbest thing the European Central Bank could have possibly ever said. It's just how a market works. When it comes to a stock market or a crypto market, some people buy early, who profit a lot. Some people buy in the middle, who still profit. Some people buy late, and they become everybody's exit bag. That's just how the market works. To blame how the market works and just say, you know, people who are buying Bitcoin late, that's wrong. People should not be buying Bitcoin late because they're adding value. But it's like saying, honestly, it's like saying, you know, people who brought Microsoft shares or Apple shares or Samsung shares or whatever, people who brought late, they're just adding money to the pockets of other people. That's just how the market works. Now, moving on from the most dumbest opinion the European Central Bank has ever shared with anyone to the US banks. The US banks apparently are getting close to the levels of 2008. Now, if you don't remember what happened in 2008, a very small thing I can say in a very simplified way. In 2008, a group of bankers who are low bankers, medium bankers, and high-profile bankers started eating. And by eating, I mean they were selling contracts and essentially mortgages to people who couldn't afford them. And what essentially happened was a house of cards, essentially. It just collapsed on top of their heads, and the real estate market just went, and 2008 collapse pretty much happened. Apparently, the banks are essentially getting close to 2008 levels inside the United States. Now, is this because they're probably playing around with the numbers? Yes, it is 100% they're playing around with the numbers. Because US banks' unrealized losses soared to 7 times 2008 crisis levels. US banks are taking a massive hit right now with unrealized losses on their securities skyrocketing to $750 billion by Q3 of 2024. That's 7 times higher than the unrealized losses reported during the 2008 financial crisis, where banks faced $100 billion in losses. In 2008, everything wasn't essentially on paper, regardless of the numbers, because Moody's, which is an agency that rates what's happening inside the markets in terms of banks, Moody's lied about the numbers and said the economy is doing great, the banks are doing great, and then 2008 collapse happened because Moody's was lying on purpose. And if you ask Moody's why they did this, Moody's actually said, because if we don't give the numbers the banks want, then the banks will just go to another rating agency. So we have to give the numbers to make the banks happy. By making the banks happy, essentially in 2008, they collapsed the markets. And in 2008, we're getting to levels of $100 billion. Now we're at levels of $750 billion in losses. And the banks are very quiet about this. These losses are tied directly to securities that banks had previously acquired. Particularly, they're available for sale, AFS, and held to maturity HTM, essentially portfolios. A combination of high interest rates and shaky economic conditions is ripping through the market, eroding asset values across the board. US banks are feeling the heat, but they're very silent. And there's no hiding the financial damage now because the reports are coming out. But most people don't know about these reports, and I'm sharing these reports so everyone can find out about them. Raising essentially the losses across securities. But what's truly driving these losses, a big chunk comes from residential mortgage-backed securities. Now, doesn't that sound very familiar? because what helped collapse 2008 was mortgages. Ironically, what's making the banks collapse again, on the verge of collapse, is mortgages. A big chunk from that whole situation comes from residential mortgages backed securities, RMBS. Higher mortgages rates essentially have sent the prices of these securities plummeting, throwing banks deeper in the red. The situation isn't much better for corporate bonds and treasuries. Raising interest rates have hammered their valuations, pushing banks' unrealized losses even further. The data doesn't lie, as Banks of America recently reported that their bond losses stand at about $85.7 billion in the past 3 years. Their held-to-maturity portfolio alone shrunk by $116 billion. Losses in this portfolio are piling up at around $10 billion per quarter for the banks. Another important note is that there are currently 1,027 banks inside the United States, with assets exceeding $1 billion. Among them, 47 are reporting unrealized losses greater than 50% of their capital equity as of June 30th. Regulators aren't sitting back and watching. The FDIC is cracking down on banks, demanding that they beef up their liquidity stress test and get serious about managing their uninsured deposit exposures. So, apparently, banks are essentially having a liquidity crisis, and the FDIC, which is essentially monitoring the banks and telling the banks what to do inside the United States, is telling these banks, you have a major liquidity crisis, and if these banks don't fix their liquidity crisis, we can have a bigger collapse than we had back in 2008. Now, there is one particular asset that can provide liquidity to these banks. The stakes are high. US banks are walking a fine line, and regulators are watching every step. Liquidity stress is a key pressure here. Banks are expected to manage these losses, but that's easier said than done. Analysts are mixed on how things will play out. Some say banks could see up to 25% of their unrealized losses recover if interest rates stabilize or drop. But there is a big if. And the big if is the economy is an absolute mess. We can have, essentially Sleepy Joe and Kamala Harris to thank for that regarding the economy. And there is no crystal ball that can predict what will happen next. The market's volatility is here to stay, and banks will have to adapt or go under. There's no easy way out. That's a 61 basis point fall when bond yields drop. Bond prices rise, which helps banks recover some of their losses, but the damage has already been done in the banking world. Earlier in the year, the 10-year Treasury yield hit a high of 4.48%. The banks that were sitting on these long-term securities when rates were low are now in deep trouble. They thought that they were locking in safe returns, but now they're locked into essentially their losses. To add to the financial chaos, the Biden administration budget deficiency hit $1.833 trillion for the fiscal year of 2024, an increase of 8% from the previous year. This is the third highest deficiency essentially in the US history, surpassed only by the COVID-19 years of 2020 and 2021. The government's total essential receipts were $4.9 trillion, which sounds impressive, but it couldn't keep up with the $6.75 trillion in outlays. Simple math tells you that's a problem. The national debt is now sitting at $35.7 trillion, up $2.3 trillion from the fiscal year of 2023. The more debt the government racks up, the more interest it has to pay. And the interest is $1.16 trillion in 2024 alone. The first time interest expenses crossed the $1 trillion mark, the economy is buckling under the weight of this debt. Interest expense is now the third largest item in the budget, trailing only behind Social Security and healthcare. Looking ahead, the Congressional Budget Office, CBO, predicts even more pain is ahead. This is essentially expected to rise to $2.8 trillion of interest to be paid by 2034. On the debt side, the CBO expects the balloon to 122% of the GDP by 2034. So, it turns out, just like how China is going through a major real estate situation, and they're keeping very silent about it. The same way France is going through a major real estate situation, and they're going silent about it. The US is having a major mortgage crisis, which was also related with real estate, and they're keeping silent about it. China, the EU, and the US, and every other country in this world right now are lying about their numbers. Some people take the numbers as literal when they come. You know, the data comes through and it goes, there are this many jobs available, and the prices are looking at this much, and so on and so on. And some people look at this and go, wow, you know, it must be correct. Sometimes they lie. Sometimes those data reports that come through from these organizations, from these agency rating agencies, even in Wall Street, they lie. As I've said many, many times, Moody's lied about 2008 on purpose to make the banks look good. And in 2008, the entire market crashed. And right now, it turns out the banks are trying to keep hush-hush, but they're having major difficulties, where they're sitting 7 times higher than they were before. In 2008, the longer they essentially take, the longer, you know, they play around with the numbers, the bigger the bubble is going to be. The bigger the bubble, the bigger the burst. Now, if you're wondering to yourself, you know, if I'm sharing this news regarding America, how is this relatable to you if you live in the EU or if you live in the Middle East or Asian countries? It's very relatable, because if the US economy goes, the entire world follows it and goes. Because according to the Bank of International Settlements, which is very correct, the Bank of International Settlements, 63 centralized banks under it, if the United States markets sneeze, the world market catches a cold, which is factual. It does. So, with China going through an issue, France going through an issue, Germany is going through their own issue, the US is having a banking mortgage crisis, just as they did in 2008. It's like they didn't learn. In 2008, mortgage crisis. 2024, mortgage crisis. It's almost like history repeating itself. But then again, we're not going to have a market crash now, because it's voting season. Let the voting season pass, and then we'll have a market crash. It's an outcome that's definitely on the table, unless somehow they handle it. And there's multiple ways they can handle it, so a market crash doesn't happen. There are multiple ways they can handle the situation, but they have to do it quick. And it has to be the right person in charge for them to execute that plan. And it's definitely not Kamala Harris. That moron couldn't fix anything. Now, moving on from the US banking mortgage crisis, history on repeat situation from 2008, to Brics Pay. Now, we've talked about Brics Pay quite a lot on this live, you know, in the coming weeks and months, because there's been relative news about Brics Pay and how Brics Pay is going to be the new payment system to take over the world somewhere down the line. And recently, they did the Brics unveil of Brics Pay. Right now, we're going to go into more detail of the whole Brics Pay, such in bullet points, but we're going to go into more detail regarding Brics Pay and the QR codes they were handing out, the cards that they were handing out, the first payments that people were doing on Brics Pay. So you're about to know all of that. But before we go through that news regarding Brics Pay, let's go inside the comment section first. This is a live, so which means if you do have any questions, don't be shy. Even if you're new inside the crypto space, put your comments down inside the comment section. I read everybody's, you know, comments one by one, and I shout out your name as well when I'm reading it. So don't be shy. Let's see where we are inside the comment section. We were at Scott. Let's go. Good evening, Miles and all CMF. Adi, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Bitcoin is a scam, is what Mick said. Mick, do you want to elaborate, or do you just want to leave it as that bold statement? Europe never makes any sense. That's why we voted for Brexit. That's why we voted for Brexit. Good evening, Miles and all CMF. JP, good to see you as well. How you doing, brother? How you been? Hi, Miles and CMF. Stormy, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been, Stormy? Evening, Miles and CMF. Semper, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Anna, hello, Miles and CMF. Good to see you as well. Anna, how you doing? Troy, hello, Miles and family. Good to see you as well, Troy. How you doing? Happy Pisces, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Selling mortgages that people can't pay for. Yeah, it's 2008, basically. And they're putting on review right now. Grand Rising CMF, Ray, let's go. How you doing? Do you think Brics Pay will use XRP because XRP is made for cross-border payments? Great question. Do I think that Brics Pay is going to use XRP? Now let's go with the facts, okay? Because I could give you, I could give you an opinion, but it wouldn't matter as much. It's what the facts are. So let's go with the facts on that question. Do you think Brics Pay will use XRP because XRP is made for cross-border payments, is what M said inside the comment section. The facts are that there are multiple PDF documentations to give that answer. One of them being Bank of International Settlements, PDF documentation titled Cross-Border Payments, public information. On that Bank of International Settlements PDF documentation, there's SWIFT and there's Ripple on the same, basically in the same list of payment companies to be used for cross-border payments, because the title of the PDF is Cross-Border Payments. So that's one piece of evidence that, essentially Ripple will play a crucial part in some sort of a Brics Pay or a pay in general. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, how is that related with the, essentially Brics Pay? Well, because the BRICS countries are under the Bank of International Settlements. MBridge, that some of these BRICS nations or ASEAN countries are using, Asian countries are using, is Bank of International Settlements. The Bank of International Settlements, 63 centralized banks, and essentially they have 11 blockchain programs going on. And there's multiple central banks attached to these, essentially 11 blockchain projects that are doing, one for tokenizations, one for cross-border payments, one for domestic payments, one for retail CBDCs, one for wholesale CBDCs. There's multiple blockchain projects going on right now inside the Bank of International Settlements. And Russia is a part of the Bank of International Settlements. China is a part of it. South Africa is a part of it. India is a part of it. All the BRICS nations are part of it. The US is a part of the Bank of International Settlements. The UK, the European Central Bank, everybody pretty much, 63 centralized banks are under it. Any country that matters, that has a high GDP, is under it. So, and then because the Bank of International Settlements sits here, their blockchain projects sit here, and then it's the country centralized banks like BRICS, US, and everybody else, they're all under the same roof. So when you have the Bank of International Settlements have a PDF document titled Cross-Border Payments, SWIFT is on there, Ripple is on there, you can tell. So that's one piece of evidence for cross-border payments when it comes to Ripple, Bank of International Settlements. The second piece of evidence we could possibly have is the Russian centralized bank. The Russian centralized bank has released a document where on their document, on one of their pages, it states Ripple on the documentation, and on the diagram it shows essentially XRP as the middleman between the multiple currencies that are going through it. So that's another piece of documentation that we do have regarding XRP being tested by the essentially Russian central bank for conversion of different currencies for cross-border payments and so on. That's another essentially piece of evidence that we do have. The other evidences that we do also have is all the other centralized banks that are doing testing on Ripple as well. If you go to the Bank of England website and the search bar, every single centralized bank in the world pretty much has some sort of a search bar on their website. If you go to their search bar and you type the words XRP or you type the words Ripple, they'll bring up PDF documentations on that centralized bank's website of testings or some sort of movements that they have done on XRP and Ripple. But if you type any of the crypto project, no chance of us coming up. So, two pieces of core evidence that Russia is, essentially Russia is the one leading this whole BRICS situation, even though China is going to be the one pushing their yuan. But Russia's centralized bank has released those PDF documentations regarding Ripple and XRP being used. And then we have the Bank of International Settlements, which is the biggest evidence you would possibly need because they control all the banks. And they also have Ripple on their bank sheet as well. So what more would you want? To answer your question of, do you think Brics Pay will use XRP because XRP is made for cross-border payments? There's about a 99.9% chance, according to those documents. When SBI CEO said every bank in Japan will use XRP by 2025, if there's no regulations in Japan? Regulations can come at a much more faster rate. Don't look at Gary Gensler when it comes to essentially regulations and policies. Gary Gensler is the slowest man on this planet when it comes to regulations and policies. Some countries move at a much more quicker pace when it comes to regulations and policies, because I'm guessing that politicians get along with each other and there's less corruption, hence why the regulations get pushed much more quicker. So Japan could push their regulations faster. Maybe they can push their regulations a lot more faster towards the end of 2024 or the beginning of 2025. So you never know. That's probably why they said 2025 regarding essentially SBI and then Ripple and XRP and so on in 2025, because some countries do tend to push their regulations and policies much more faster than the rest. For example, there is a small country in Africa today. Just to give you an example, there's a small country in Africa today who was never on the news for CBDC payments, was never on the news for cross-border payments, was never on the news for cryptocurrency payments, was never on the news for cryptocurrency regulations. Today, they announced their CBDCs are coming, their regulations are coming, their policies are coming, their essentially exchanges, everything related to blockchain is coming today. It was announced. And they said, essentially, we're going to get the ball rolling, and then about 3 to 4 to 6 months, they're up and running. So don't look at, essentially, Gary Gensler being an absolute snail when it comes to bringing out policies and regulations as a perspective of how regulations work all over the world. Some countries move faster. Some countries move silent and then suddenly reveal it. So that's why 2025, it's doable. Why take long for bull run? Too much manipulation, too much corruption, geopolitical tensions, a lot of things happening around the world. Good evening, Miles and CMF. How's it going? It's going great. Kenny, how's it going for you? How's things? Scott, let's go. Hi. If this program is entertaining to you, please help to share the live. Let's go, Scott. Thank you so much for that. Is XRP Ledger decentralized or centralized? So can Ripple sanction banks or countries? Great question. Can Ripple sanction banks or countries? Technically, no, because it's not. Well, here's the thing. Somewhere down the line, they might be able to centralize it. Nobody ever knows. But for the time being, and for what it's going to be staying, it's decentralized. You can do whatever you want on it. So no, they can't sanction banks or countries. Now, you never know, 50 years down the line, they might change the line of code and suddenly it's centralized chain that can sanction banks and so on. But you never know. That could be 50 years time or 100 years time. But for now, the world, essentially right now, no, they're not going to be able to sanction banks or any sort of nations or countries. And I think even if they could, even somewhere down the line, countries could probably, see that coming. Every jurisdiction could probably see that coming. So they wouldn't sign up to the XRP Ledger if that was the case. So in most cases, even after 50 or 100 years, possibly not either. But you never know. Does US control banks or international settlements if no one does? No. The US does not control the Bank of International Settlements. The banks don't actually, the Bank of International Settlements is an organization that essentially controls these centralized banks up to a certain extent. But they can essentially also put pressure on centralized banks to do certain acts, even if they're against it. For example, CBDCs was a big thing regarding a lot of centralized banks. When CBDCs was first announced, a lot of centralized banks didn't like the idea of CBDCs, because how a bank operates is you would deposit money into a bank. Right now, this is how a bank operates and makes money. You deposit money into a bank. The bank will take your money and lend it out and make something on top, or essentially take that money and do an investment and make something on top. So they'll make a profit on your money. Every time you make a deposit, the bank is making some sort of a profit from you. Now, if we live in a CBDC world, the bank is not going to be able to take your CBDCs out of your wallets. Who knows? Somewhere down the line, it might be able to. But the bank's not going to be able to take your CBDCs, essentially, trade on them and give it back to you so they can make a profit. So one major profit for the banks was trading on your money. In a CBDC world, they're not going to be able to trade on your money. So a lot of banks, day one, were against CBDCs because the profit margins were about to be demolished. But that's better as well. There's less corruption, that matter. But a lot of banks were against CBDCs at essentially day one, but now they've all come around. This is what's coming back to the Bank of International Settlements has control over the banks up to a certain extent, but they can also push the banks to go certain paths when they want to. So all the banks that are against CBDCs all of a sudden became, green lighted for CBDCs because they have no choice. And the US does not control the Bank of International Settlements in any sort of a way. Help share the live. Let's go, Scott. Bro, just tell us your 5 biggest banks. Just tell us your 5 biggest. Not gonna happen. Tell me about assets and I'll tell you what they are. Even in Miles and CMF. Mav, good to see you. So how you doing? Miles, do you think with XRP? Well, here's what I will tell you. Anita said, essentially, I don't know if I pronounced your name correct or wrong. If I am pronouncing it wrong, apologies. So Anita said, bro, just tell us your 5 biggest bags. What I will tell you is there's categories when it comes to crypto assets. The first category you should be in is payments. Money going digital is the #1 category. And then data is 2, AI follow, and Web3 follows, then AI and so on. So my 5 biggest bags are all in the finance category, which is #1. Money going digital is the #1 category. #2 is data. Everything is related to data. AI relies on data, Web3 data, a digital world in general, data. So data is always going to be #2. It's going to be the next oil in a digital world. Even Saudi Arabia said data is going to be the next oil in a digital world. A country that has a lot of oil. But yeah, my 5 biggest bags are all in finance. So basically XRP, XLM, XDC, HBOR, ACH, and so on. Miles, do you think, Mav, good to see you. How you doing? Evening. Miles, do you think things with XRP will clear up faster once the consumer is minimized or excluded from the markets? I don't think it's mostly because regarding XRP, they're waiting for people to jump out so they can take the price up. It's not based on that, because people will jump out of any asset naturally. A lot of people that are inside the market space right now, the smallest news can make them get scared and jump out of their positions. So it's not that difficult to make people, go on the wrong path. It's very easy to brainwash humans, genuinely. If it wasn't that easy, we wouldn't be living in the world that we're living in right now, where people believe that men can get periods, just to put in perspective. So it's not that difficult to brainwash people to make wrong choices. They can brainwash people easily to jump out their positions. So I don't think it's mostly because they want people out of XRP so that XRP can take off. No. What I do think is essentially they're building the infrastructure. And until the infrastructure is ready, they can't launch. As I said this previously as well, that's essentially when it comes to any crypto asset, they can launch. Solana can launch, essentially, because every crypto asset, they're launching an application or a phone. For example, Solana is building the Solana phone coming out soon. Or Sui is building the gaming console that's coming out. It's like PSP back in the day. Or essentially, there's a lot of projects happening inside the crypto space, and they're all coming out either with apps or a new phone or a new hardware wallet or a new gaming tool or whatever. And all of these things, if they do come out and people start buying them and they have bugs, it's okay, because, nobody's making a huge loss. They'll just release some patches and some updates and it's fixed. And this is why I said previously, and I'll still stand by it, what XRP is trying to achieve, or what Ripple in general is trying to achieve, they have to be 1 billion% sure before launching. Because what they're launching is an entire financial system. And we can't have bugs in a financial system. We can't have networks going down. People can't do payments for 4 to 5 hours. That would be an absolute disaster. Imagine people not having access to their money for 4 to 5 hours because there are bugs in the system, where people can't pay their mortgages, their rent, people have to pay fees probably later on for their credit cards. There's a lot of things happening around the world, and essentially the payments cannot be halted to 4 to 5 hours because there's a bug in the system. And why I'm saying this is because every other crypto project, there's 24,000, 25,000 crypto projects. Every other crypto project is releasing a game or a Web3 project or a new mobile phone, essentially Solana phone, or a Sui game, essentially PSP. And if those things go south, it doesn't really matter because nobody's affected. But if you can't access your bank accounts, then it could be riots. It could be people start stealing. It could be everything. Anything that could happen in a situation like that. This is why I say XRP has to be 1 billion% sure before they launch. Ripple has to be 1 billion% sure. The Bank of International Settlements has to be 1 billion% sure before they fully launch a new financial system. So what they're trying to achieve is incredibly difficult, and there cannot be a single error. So they don't have to be 100% sure. They have to be 1 billion% sure before they launch. There can't be a single error. So it's not mostly because, regarding price of XRP, they want the people out. They want the retail section out. It's got nothing to do with that, because people will jump out of their positions naturally, or people will jump out their positions just by a small little panic scare from the news or something. But it's mostly to do with an infrastructure that's being built. Infrastructure is ready, they can move on. And it's not, press a button, everybody goes digital. It's one by one, which is what's happening right now. It's one by one. Countries are releasing their CBDCs. They're doing small payments in portions, and people and so on. China releases their CBDCs in small portions in their own country. Or essentially, India releases CBDCs. They've already released it to 100,000 people, or roughly about 1 million people now. India has billions of citizens, and only 1 million people are on CBDCs. And Russian Root, for example, is coming out next year. Brazil's CBDC Brics coming out next year. There's a lot of countries also releasing next year. So it's not also one by one. It's not everybody press the button, everybody goes digital. It's one by one, they're all going digital. When they're ready, when their infrastructure is built. So yeah, when it comes to XRP, it's not mostly to do with they want you out fully. Obviously, they don't want you holding that certain asset. It's a banker's coin. As much as people don't want to hear it, some people don't want to hear it. Some people say it's not a banker's coin. If the retail can buy it also, which is a valid point. How could it be a banker's coin if the retail want to buy it as well? But there are much evidence to prove that it is a banker's coin, especially the recent evidence with the Russian centralized bank on their PDF documentations, putting XRP's logo right in the middle between a conversion of currencies. It technically is a banker's coin. But hey, you got access to a banker's coin. So that's a massive positive. But yeah, it's got nothing to do with, because they can squeeze you out of your positions naturally. Up to a certain extent, it does as well, but not majority of that, no. The major reason is infrastructure needs to be built fully. When XRP consider variable change, which small African country is that? I'll put it inside Telegram group. Miles, I think XLM and XDC will be a major breakout due to all eyes being on BTC, XRP, and Ripple. What is your opinion? You think that XLM and XDC will be a major breakout because all eyes are on Bitcoin, XRP, and Ripple. XDC and XLM are incredible assets. There's no doubt about it. XLM and XDC are incredible assets. They can do incredibly well over time, not overnight, but over time they'll do incredibly well. There's no doubt about it. And regarding a major breakout happening on those two, due to everybody's eyes being on Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Ripple, and so on, you never know. You can consider it as an outcome if you wanted to, but don't consider it as the outcome, but consider it as an outcome. If you are giving up on XRP, let me help you out. I will purchase your XRP. I have been dollar cost averaging over the last week. The institutions will not push out these consumers. Yeah, and they definitely won't. And regarding your previous question, Scott, as well, are they pushing out essentially the retail section? Up to a certain extent, yes. They manipulate the market to push the retail section out. But the biggest thing is infrastructure needs to be up and running. But yeah, they don't want you to, essentially make a lot of money either, to be fairly honest. Governments prefer everybody to remain stupid and poor because you're easier to control. So there is some truth to, they want you out of your XRP positions, or they want you out of certain positions. There is some truth to that as well, because governments just want you to be stupid and poor. It's much more easy to control you. So yeah, Scott is right up to certain extent as well, yes. And Scott will buy your XRP as well. I would as well. Hi, Miles. When do you, Rachel, good to see you. How you doing? Hi, Miles. When do you think the bull run will start? And when do you think XRP will be in everyday full use? Now, regarding the bull run, we're actually, a lot of people are, not saying you are, but a lot of people are assuming we're in some sort of a bear market situation. Not saying you are, Rachel, in any sort of way, but some people are assuming that we're in a bear market. We're not in a bear market right now in any sort of a way. If you think this is a bear market, then you haven't seen a bear market. A bear market is drastic drop prices. Drastic drop prices. Where assets, essentially you could see Bitcoin doing to 20,000 to 15,000. That'd be an absolute, a wreckage of a bear market situation. But we're not there. What we're actually in right now is a slight run, a slight bull run that is very heavily manipulated very heavily corrupted, and huge amounts of geopolitical tensions going on with the Middle East situation, and now the recent one with China and Taiwan, and another recent one with South Korea and North Korea. So we're actually in some sort of an institutional run right now. But because it's not, the reason why it's not showing is because the market is heavily corrupted, heavily manipulated, and huge amounts of geopolitical tensions going on. But we're actually in some sort of an institutional situation right now going on. But a full run, you should be expecting it. Here's the thing. According to JP Morgan's analyst, Nicholas, and Goldman Sachs, according to JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, they're expecting the market to do a turnaround towards the end of the year, going on to the first quarter of 2025. So put those in accounts. Towards the end of the year, going on to the first quarter of 2025. But we're not in a bear market situation either. And also the reasons why you'll never see $20,000 Bitcoins is because too many institutions, in terms of Bitcoin ETFs, the Bitcoin ETFs won't let you see $20,000 Bitcoins ever again, unless the institutions decide to sell at a ridiculous pace. Lena, so that's why I would say that. Regarding XRP being in full everyday use, well, in full everyday use, you're probably estimating every country is in a new financial system. 2027 is when all the banks essentially are going to be closing down their branches. So the major banks, they've said these things: HSBC, NatWest, Nationwide, Lloyds, Santander, Barclays Bank. They've all said there's going to be no more bank branches in 2027. So if there's going to be no more bank branches that people can walk into a bank, none of that anymore, where you just walk into a bank, then 2027 is pretty much when it's going to be in full use. But 2024 is the starting point of the world going digital. So it doesn't mean 2027, everything shoots up into the sky. That's not also what it means. It means that it's a progressive step. So 2024, we've had a lot of things that we've never had before. We've had essentially ETFs. We had Bitcoin ETFs, Ethereum ETFs, and even Solana ETFs in Brazil. But we've had an ETF for crypto assets. We've never had that before in 2024 is when the world essentially starts shifting into a digital era. 2024, we had ETFs. We've never had that before. We have more banks inside the crypto space than ever before in 2024. We have regulations and policies from multiple countries around the world in 2024. We have essentially countries launching into CBDCs, countries launching into tokenizations, huge corporations going into crypto assets and tokenizations, huge corporations backing their assets with Bitcoin. We have pension funds backing their assets with Bitcoins. We have IPOs for essentially blockchain companies. So there's a lot of things happening in the digital world connecting to the traditional financial world in 2024, because 2024 is the start of the world going digital. So what I'm trying to say also is you're going to see a progressive step in 2024, which we've already had. It hasn't finished yet. You're going to see a much more progressive step in 2025, and a much more progressive step 2026. By 2027, you're going to see a lot more progress as well. But what I'm also trying to say is when we reach 2027, it's not going to be shooting up into the sky. It's going to be a progressive step of going higher and higher and higher and higher. So end date is 2027. Beginning date is actually 2024. The beginning of 2024 was the beginning of the world transforming into a digital era, with January being Bitcoin ETFs. And then straight after that, it was regulations and policies, and the EU's MiCA regulations, essentially Russia's regulations, Japan's regulations, Singapore's regulations, United Arab's regulations, Saudi Arabia's regulations, Qatar's regulations, Bahrain's regulations, Kuwait's regulation. A lot of countries start launching into regulations. 2024 was the beginning of the world transforming digital era. 2027 is the ending. I've always said this. 2024 is the beginning. 2027 is the ending, when the bank branches close down. So 2024 to 2027 is what you're looking at the time frame. Now, Lena, good to see you. How you doing? Greetings. What can we expect regarding price-wise for XRP, SUI, APTS, and Link? What do you expect for the prices for XRP, SUI, APTS, and Link? XRP, sky's the limit with that particular asset, because it's going to be used as a backbone of a financial system for CBDCs, wholesale and retail CBDCs. And it has tokenization capabilities going on as well. So sky's the limit for that one. SUI will do incredibly well for itself, because it will just as long as Sui sticks to his character of gaming, which is where it's headed right now. I mean, they're bringing out a gaming console. If you didn't know, PS5 isn't. I mean, PlayStation 6 isn't going to be just the only console coming out soon. Sui is coming out with some sort of a gaming handheld, essentially, device as well. And it's going to do well if it stays in the gaming category. EP2S will do well in itself as well. Link has a lot of contracts going on. They're going to do incredibly well as well. I can't tell you about price points. It's going to be reaching, for example, Link will be, $100 or something like that. But what I can tell you, if an asset has a future or not, Link has a future. AP2S has up to a certain future. Sui has a future, stays in gaming. XRP has an ultimate future. It's finance. Finance will always have a future. Money always has a future. Crypto my ass is what Bartek says. Well, I'm guessing Bartek is somebody that essentially lost money on crypto and now blames crypto for his own mistakes. A lot of people do that. A lot of people don't like to take responsibility for their actions, and they blame essentially, crypto instead of blaming themselves for falling for a scam. I've been inside the crypto space for a very long time, and I can hand on heart say I've never been scammed, not even once. Not saying they haven't tried to scam me. Oh, multiple times. I've received emails hoping I would click on the links so it could connect to some sort of a Ledger Live on my MacBook and so on. So I've been sent scam emails. I've been sent text messages, essentially scams as well. I've been sent malware before in emails to my company email, to my personal email, and so on. So, scammers have approached me through Telegram, through WhatsApp, through messages, through emails. I just don't fall for it. But if I did fall for any of those things, I'm not going to go around and blame crypto. I should be blaming myself for essentially falling for those scams. So somebody like Bartek that says crypto my ass, I'm guessing he's fell victim to a crypto scam and now blames crypto instead of himself for falling for that scam. Some people do that. Some people just don't like taking responsibility for their actions in anything in life. And they'll just blame the act itself instead of themselves. It's all about timing. Facts. It is all about timing, 100%. Thank you, Miles. No problem, timeless song, anytime. Miles, I didn't get the link for KuCoin to buy XDC as promised. Ooh, the App Store keeps bringing up the black one for trading. Lena, apologies about that. Lena, after this live show, I will send you the link for you to be able to sign up to KuCoin. No problem. Lena, I'm so sorry about that. I'll send it to you straight after this live. Facts. It wouldn't be good for the government for everyone to be smart and financially free. That would make too much sense, though. Yes. Thank you. Could you have a word with them to hurry up, please, for XRP? Yeah. Yes. No problem. I'll have a word with Ripple and the Bank of International Settlements. Excuses are like behind everyone has one. Yes. Facts. Now, Brics is what we can talk about next. Brics Pay launches a new system for trade without the US dollar. So I recently talked about Brics Pay and the QR codes, but I have a little bit more information on that matter now. The BRICS Alliance has begun a new payment structure called Brics Pay. The system helps members nations trade without using the US dollars. It allows transactions through blockchain technology and removes the need for SWIFT messaging system. This move could change the way international finances work. This is the beginning of SWIFT disappearing. At the BRICS Business Forum in Moscow, the collaboration demonstrated how Brics Pay operates. Participants, so this is what actually happened. So when Moscow did the BRICS event, this is exactly how they demoed the Brics Pay system without SWIFT. At the BRICS Business Forum in Moscow, the collaboration demonstrated how Brics Pay operates. Participants received a demo card. So think of it as like essentially a bank card, a demo card preloaded with 500 Russian rubles, which is about $5.15. They could use these cards for spending at various vendors within the World Trade Center. This demonstration gave attendees insights into the future of cross-borders during essentially the BRICS nations. Moreover, the exchange method mainly relied on QR codes. These codes connect national subscription platforms with commercial methods across Brics Pay countries. This means that Brics Pay enables transactions in digital currencies and stablecoins linked to the national currencies of member states. This technology improves security and makes international transactions easier. Brics has plans to expand this transfer mechanisms. Future efforts aim to enhance business-to-business payment solutions. The alliance also intends to develop the Brics Pay Unit, a cryptocurrency initiative led by Russia. These actions show that Brics' commitment to creating a more independent financial environment for its member nations. Over the past year, Brics has worked to reduce reliance on the US dollar in trade. This change aligns with Russia's recent decision to lift its ban on digital assets for international payments. Therefore, Brics Pay is an important step towards creating a trading framework that limits Western influence. President Putin highlighted the role of digital currencies for Brics, and among emerging economies, former discussions focused on how these currencies can encourage investment developments. The new payment system aims to help out not only the Brics nations, but also other developing economies seeking alternatives to traditional bankings. The launch of Brics Pay raises important questions about the future of the US dollar in the global trade. As Brics promotes its new system, it challenges the US dollar's dominance. This change could reshape international transactions and affect the trade. Don't know why that happened. So Brics Pay essentially does their first demos. People get cards, scan QR codes, and do their first payments. Hoping it goes well for them. But Brics Pay is essentially, bank with international settlements. Ripple is an American company. But anyways, moving on from Brics Pay, now you know what they did, essentially giving out bank cards to people with 500 digital rubes as test payments. So they're very close to launching regarding Brics Pay. But what we're going to talk about next is the most absurd, maybe, opinion from Charles. Charles Hoskin, essentially the founder of Cardano, said this. Now, I'll leave it up to you if you think this is absurd as well, of what this man just said. And Cardano is an asset we rarely talk about on this live. But here's what this man essentially said. Charles, founder of Cardano blockchain, Adam, is not holding back regarding his vision for the future of Cardano's blockchain. Speaking at the 4th annual Cardano Summit in 2024 in Buenos Aires, Charles laid out an ambitious roadmap for the next decade. He predicted that Cardano would surpass Bitcoin. Not just Bitcoin, but Cardano will not only be above Bitcoin, but it will be above Ethereum. Not my perspective. Just want to point this out. This is not my perspective. This is the founder of Cardano's perspective. In size, functionality, and influence. As a layer 1 network grows, Charles predicts it will become the foundation for major global infrastructures, Cardano. Since its launch, Cardano has made waves inside the blockchain world. In just 7 years, it has scaled to a massive 11-figure network, attracted millions of users, and built the largest research group in the blockchain space. The proof-of-stake open-source ecosystem led essentially deployments activity in 2022. This marked its second consecutive top chart position, as it essentially topped the charts in 2021. The record underscores Cardano's efforts to maintain its peak position in terms of blockchain development activity. Charles proudly highlighted these milestones, setting the stage for even bigger achievements possible. Cardano's growth shows how careful planning and long-term visions can lead to success. It has become a strong competitor in the crypto world by sticking to its strategies. Charles confidently predicted that Cardano will surpass Bitcoin and Ethereum's blockchain within the next 10 years. This growth, he explained, will be fueled by increasing use cases. This bullish sentiment comes as governments and major entities begin to trust and adapt Cardano's infrastructures. For Charles, this is not just a possibility, it's eventable. It's going to be happening either way in his vision. His vision for Cardano goes beyond being just another blockchain. He envisions it as a network that will power the future global, essentially, systems. Notably, Cardano's rise has faced challenges within the crypto industry and Web3 space at large. Recently, debates on X essentially centered around the rigidness of Cardano's smart contracts, and especially when compared to Ethereum's more flexible offerings. Charles essentially, however, recently criticized Ethereum's governance model, describing it as overly reliant on co-founder Vitalik Buterin. Critics argue that Cardano's protocol is too rigid, slowing users' interactions and processes. However, Charles addressed these concerns head on the summit, pointing to the major upcoming upgrades that are coming towards Cardano. He said his upgrades will improve essentially the fastness and in terms of transactions and fees, and also fix the issues with smart contracts. And this will reshape how Cardano handles transactions and user interactions, making the network more versatile. And a few days ago, the layer one blockchain took a significant step in its essentially protocol evolution as it launched a Oberus Peers. The new development is a part of the firm's ongoing commitment to enhancing the blockchain's efficiency and scalability. So, according to the founder of Cardano, not my perspective, his perspective, but according to the founder of Cardano, Cardano will surpass Bitcoin and Ethereum in 10 years' time. It's a good thing he said not next week, because if he came out and said Cardano will surpass Bitcoin and Ethereum next week, or essentially in a month's time, then obviously it'd be ridiculous. Who thinks, just out of curiosity, do you think Cardano will surpass Bitcoin and Ethereum in 10 years' time? Put yes, no, or a different response if you want. I would probably say, you know me, I would probably say consider variable change. But you never know. I mean, if Cardano brings out great utility, 10 years is a lot of time. A lot of things can happen in 10 years. The first time I read the news regarding Cardano's founder, I thought he was, ridiculous. But once I got to the part where it said 10 years, I thought, consider variable change. A lot of things can happen in 10 years. But let's see. If anybody believes this man or not. Will you repeat what you shared about ACH a few days ago? I know there are some alliances created, but where you see it in the crypto movements. Where I see ACH inside the crypto movements, while everybody answers that question, let me answer Scott's question. Where do I see ACH in this whole matter? Okay, ACH is a payments, essentially in the finance category, so it's the number one category. ACH is going to play a massive role in the section where it comes to off-ramp and on-ramp. When it comes to fiat, essentially converting into digital assets is what ACH is mainly working towards. So it's going to do incredibly well. And it has a huge list of partnerships. ACH has an incredible list of licensings, incredible list of partnerships. So there's no doubt about it that they are going to do incredible things moving ahead, essentially. So XRP doesn't need US for it to go to $100. No, it still needs it. The US is the biggest market in the world. But no, technically, no. Also, if it gets the ball rolling, then probably not. It's debatable. Great news from Crypto Adder, Cardano. Let's go, Toby. Toby likes the idea of Cardano's founder saying this. Bold statement from Cardano's founder. Addy just goes with the response of no. Is Cardano going to surpass Bitcoin and Ethereum in 10 years' time, according to the founder of Cardano? Addy just put no. Susie put, I don't think so. Fair enough. Dale put no. Lena said possible. Daniel said if maybe. BTC, I'm not sure. Fair enough. Ray says consider variable change. It's basically what I would say. 10 years is a lot of time. A lot of things can happen. Lena says possible. Joe says nope, I don't think so. Fair enough. Mike says no. Shelly says it's hard to say. 10 years, who knows what can happen? At the moment, no. I agree with Shelly as well. 10 years is a lot of time, you never know. Dennis just says no. Callie says Adder, never. Never knew Miles. You never know, Miles. Fair enough. Toby says, I think I will say yes or no when I read Cardano's white paper. Fair enough. And G says no. Too many countries now holding long term. Also fair enough. Cardano's it was a good thing Cardano's founder doesn't watch this live, because he wouldn't be happy about his responses. But what I can say is I can't say yes, it's going to happen. What I would say is consider variable change, because you never know. 10 years is a long time, so anything can happen in 10 years. Now, moving off, essentially Cardano's founder's bold statement, to a crypto asset we haven't talked about a very long time, which is a crypto asset by the name of Platon. Anybody remember LAT? Well, LAT has done its recent collaboration, and apparently LAT is headed towards Telegram. Platon collaborates with UX/UI to incorporate Telegram wallets. Platon Network has recently announced an exclusive collaboration with UX/UI for the UX/UI Telegram wallets integration into the Telegram ecosystem. As per Platon, the partnership promises to offer an additional effective and seamless experience for consumers by providing a series of crypto and fiat services via Telegram. The platform took to essentially its official X account to provide details of this initiative. In its latest report, Platon noted that its collaboration with UX/UI focuses on enhancing the user experience. The digital currencies are witnessing essentially an increase in their adoption, and hence this development fulfills demands for cost-effective, essentially cost-efficient and secure financial services in the community of Telegram's community. And as included in this collaboration, the integration will benefit from the clearing systems of Tapos's network. This permits users and merchants to leverage more suitable exchanges in rates along minimized transfer fees. This further essentially improves the platform's appeal. And the Tapos network also offers advanced infrastructures concerning blockchain settlements, and this guarantees that transfers are cost-effective and rapid in the same time. Thus, it addresses a primary challenge in the crypto sector that deals with high fees for fiat and crypto and cross-border payments. Platon's focus on financial infrastructure and privacy preserving a competition of contributions to this endeavor. Additionally, the integration will permit Platon to increase its access within the Telegram network. It will provide its resilient blockchain solutions for a wider audience through Telegram. And the synergy of privacy-focused architecture on Platon and the user-friendly essential interference of UX/UI revolutionizes the overall experience. As a result of this, Telegram consumers can get the initiative and secure experiences to take part in the crypto transfers and services. And according to Platon themselves, the partnership also signifies the commitment to UX/UI to broadening its ecosystems with the addition of advanced DApps, decentralized apps. So Platon was a crypto project that I revealed when it first opened its doors, and it's based out of Singapore. They're inside the financial category as well, the #1 category. And they're about to be out of the Telegram, which means Telegram's user base is going to be having access to Platon. It could help Platon in the long term because Telegram has a humongous list of users. Even though Platon has its own banking payments things set up in Singapore, but this could help it reach a more global user base outside of Singapore. Now, moving off Platon to BlackRock is what we're going to talk about next. BlackRock essentially is continuing an aggressive, essentially BTC buyout spree. It acquires $1 billion in 3 days. So while some people sell their positions and jump out the market space, BlackRock is packing up their bags and they're just buying more. It's not just BlackRock who's doing this. MicroStrategy is buying more Bitcoin. MetaPlanet, the Japanese company, is buying more Bitcoin as well to back it with their assets. But BlackRock is in a buying spree right now. Before we go through that, let's go to the comment section first. And by the way, this is a live, so if you do have any questions, put them down in the comment section. You're more than happy to answer any questions you may have. No too many countries now holding on to facts. Not without an ETF. Fair enough, Ronnie. I sold all my ADA a while back. Is it worth me getting some more now? Look, what I would say is Cardano's founder's speech was very bold. And is Cardano going to achieve incredible things? 10 years is a lot of time. Anything can happen. It could do incredibly well. It could do incredibly bad. But what I can tell you is there are assets out there that are better than Cardano, is what I would say. So I'm not saying Cardano is a bad asset. There are much more worse assets out there. But 10 years is a lot of time. Anything can happen. Anything can change. But what I would say is, Shelly, I haven't increased my position. Simplest answer I can give, Shelly, I haven't increased my position on Cardano at all for the longest time. I haven't touched Cardano at all, because I kept on selling it, buying a little bit, selling it, buying a little bit, selling it. So it's nothing that I would have on my list. But there are better assets out there, I would say, that the focus should be there. So the focus should be on XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR, ACH, and so on, rather than Cardano. But again, Cardano could do incredibly well in 10 years' time. 10 years is a lot of time. But you know for a fact, XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR is going to do a lot more better in 10 years' time than Cardano. That we know of. Well, I know of. Personal opinion, not financial advice, any sort of, if anyone's watching this. But there are better assets out there. So no, I wouldn't say it's a must-have in any sort of a way. At all. So you're good. Don't worry about it, Shelly. Miles. Hello, Miles. Brooke, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been, Brooke? ACH now working with ICP. Will it work inside the United States? Leroy, good to see you as well. How you doing? Miles, I just checked my balance on LAT and since last year. I hope Telegram will help LAT to push the price. It's going to reach a much more global audience. It should do. And regarding Leroy's question, LMH Pay now working with ICP, but it will work inside the United States. ACH already has licensings inside the United States. ACH has multiple licensings to be able to operate as a payment system inside the United States. So they already operate. It's just they're not doing it on a large scale yet due to policies and regulations. So regarding ACH, they're already inside the United States. They already have licensings inside the United States. If you are enjoying, so Leroy, they're already in the United States. They have licensings. It's just the regulations and policies that are slowing their adoption. If you are enjoying the programming, please help share the live. Let's go, Scott. Definitely share the live. And Brooke, let's go. How you doing? Can we have its platform where we can buy? LAT? Sure. Don't buy it. Read about it first. Don't buy anything you don't understand. I'll send you the website of LAT if you want to go read about it first before you do anything. India versus Pakistan. What are your thoughts? India versus Pakistan. What are my thoughts? No thoughts. Simple answer. Thanks, Shelly. No problem. I'll stick to what I have in my portfolio. No problem. Yeah, better off. Let's go. Is APTOS good? Is APTOS good? Yes, it's a good asset to look into. No doubt about it. Share some ideas, if you do not mind, about some cryptos that would probably be worth looking at instead of ADA. Yes. Look, assets that everybody should look into. Rephrase. Assets that everybody should look into. XRP. XLM, XDC, ACH. I can list a lot more, but to be fairly honest, they're the most crucial ones. You said BlackRock is buying more BTC on a daily, and in the past 3 days brought $3 billion. Yes. BlackRock went on a buying spree and acquired $1 billion of BTC essentially in the past 3 days. You might not see the price change of BTC. This is why a lot of people are assuming essentially Coinbase is not really buying the Bitcoins. They're essentially doing an IOU, but they're actually buying the Bitcoins in general. But the reason why you don't see the price change on Bitcoin too much with BlackRock buying huge amounts and so on is because it's balancing itself on the inflows and outflows. Newsflash, but I'll read you the news straight after this. Newsflash, I'm investing in Miles. I'm an OG and earn the right according to Miles. Let's go, Scott. In 45 minutes, I'll be voting early here in Las Vegas at the public part for early voting. Let's go, Leroy. Leroy, who are you voting for? If you want to share, go for it. If you don't want to share, that's perfectly fine. Oh, everyone who has watching from the US, actually, no, that might be a bad question to ask. Never mind. So, Messi or Ronaldo? They're both, incredibly talented as each other. Some might say Messi is better than Ronaldo. Some might say Ronaldo is better than Messi. But what I can say is I respect both of them, Messi and Ronaldo. They're both great as each other. They're one of the greats, both of them. And APOS is better than ADA. Don't know about that one. I'm just waiting for the bull run to start so I can cash out either as I'm down on it. Well, according to here, for over 10 years, you're good to go. Even though I started voting for 44 years ago for libertarians presidents and 45 minutes, I'll be voting for Trump because he's a pro-crypto. Let's go, Leroy. Scott says, I have already voted. I voted for Harris. Kerry, what's up, Miles? What's up, CMF? I'm late. What did I miss? Kerry, we went some news. We actually went through a bit of news. You missed quite a bit. But I'll do a gist. I'll do a breakdown towards the end of the live show, as always. I voted for Donald Trump, you mean, lads. Now, the world's biggest asset manager, platform BlackRock, has recently been making significant moves inside the crypto markets. As per the Look On chain, essentially a platform that analyzes who's buying what when it comes to major companies and corporations, a prominent on-chain analytics firm, BlackRock has purchased more BTC in a series of buyouts, adding a staggering 14,745 Bitcoins, equaling to $1 billion. In the past 3 days, BlackRock has brought $1 billion of Bitcoins to its holdings in only 3 days. The analyst provider took this to X account to provide the details of this development. Look On Chain pointed out that BlackRock move of acquiring $1 billion in Bitcoin highlights the platform's wider strategy for Bitcoin exposure. The buying spree took place after reports revealed the acquisition of 5,802 essentially Bitcoin tokens by BlackRock a day before. This figure amounts for an amount of $390.2 million. The respective purchase took place after another sizable buyout on the previous day. This included the purchase of 10,126 Bitcoins, and this figure is a valuation of $681 million. Essentially keeping that in view, in just 3 days, BTC holdings of BlackRock have jumped to a great extent. As a result, these holdings have touched 385,591 Bitcoins, worth approximately $26.55 billion is what BlackRock is holding right now in Bitcoin. And these buyouts highlight essentially a continuation of the platform's strategy to essentially increase its Bitcoin exposure. Both the retail and institutional investors have keenly essentially watching this move for major impact to be happening. As Look On Chain reported, the speed of Bitcoin's acquisition by BlackRock is noteworthy, especially as the platform keeps looking for approvals for the US SEC. Now, the US essentially SEC has approved the 11 Bitcoin spot tradings going on as well, which is going to add more liquidity to Bitcoin and bring more eyes on the crypto space in general, which is a positive all around. But yeah, BlackRock has been increasing on their buying spree. In the last 3 days, they've acquired roughly $1 billion in Bitcoin. That's a huge amount in 3 days. The only other corporation that's similar to BlackRock, you could say in the amount of Bitcoins they're staggeringly getting, is MicroStrategy. But now, keeping on the topic of BlackRock, here's some interesting news about it. BlackRock's Build token, set to revolutionize futures trading with major exchanges. Apparently, BlackRock's Build token, which is relatable to tokenization, is going to be heading towards crypto exchanges. BlackRock is to use this Build token as collateral for futures tradings with many of the biggest cryptocurrency exchanges in the world, including Binance. Binance is going to be having BlackRock's Build token on it for futures as collateral. This action marks a fundamental change in how traditional banking and cryptocurrency markets are integrated. Of course it does. It's BlackRock and Binance coming together. The goal of BlackRock's USD Institutional Digital Liquidity Fund, or BUILD, is to transform the tokenization of financial assets. This approach could lead to changes in global finance, enabling every stock and bond to have its own digital identification, and apparently headed towards Binance. The CEO of BlackRock has underlined that tokenization is the next development in the financial industry. He stated that every investor will have their unique identification on shared ledger, and this ledger will alleviate concerns regarding illicit activities tied to bonds and stocks. Tokenization will allow for customized strategies tailored to individual needs, and the result would be instant settlements, minimizing the time costs associated with traditional asset tradings. Furthermore, BlackRock's efforts to push the BUILD token into crypto derivatives trading would challenge the dominance of established stablecoins, such as Tether's USDT. According to recent reports, the derivatives accounted for over 70% of total tradings in volume in September. This percentage translates to approximately $3 trillion in crypto derivatives contracts traded on centralized exchanges. Currently, BUILD is already accepted as collateral by major brokers like Falcon X and Hidden Road, and the token's market capitalization has reached a very nice number of $547.7 million as of October 18th, making it a significant player in the tokenization landscape. Its principal holdings in US treasuries and other liquid essentially asset enhances the fund's stellar reputation. It is up for discussion at the Commodities Futures Trading Commission whether or not to employ digital assets as securities for trading in commodities and derivatives. This concept may be approved in full by the end of the year. Hence, traditional markets may soon integrate cryptocurrencies, enabling brokers to use tokens like BUILD in their transactions. Would you, quick question to everybody, let's just say this whole BUILD, BlackRock BUILD, essentially goes onto Binance. And now this would have never happened a little bit, beforehand, because Binance was run by essentially CZ, and they didn't want CZ in control at all, which means CZ is out the picture, and Binance has two new CEOs. One of CEO of Binance running the normal Binance, Richard Tang essentially, is a WEF essentially member, a World Economic Forum member. And the other Binance USA CEO is also a World Economic Forum member as well. This is why it's, essentially BlackRock and Binance are working together, because the people that are running Binance are World Economic Forum members. BlackRock, World Economic Forum. So they're both in the same category. But quick question to anyone. Would you buy, let's just say somewhere down the line, they said this might get approved by the end of the year. By the end of this year, BlackRock's BUILD will get approved for collateral derivatives tradings on futures tradings on Binance. And they said a few other exchanges, but they haven't mentioned the other exchanges. Only Binance was mentioned. But would anybody buy a BlackRock crypto token if it was available as an actual token on Binance? Would anyone buy it? Yes or no? Or if you want to give an explanation of why yes or why no, go for it as well. But quick question to everyone. Would you buy a BlackRock related asset on Binance? Yes or no? Because we do have crypto projects that have contracts with BlackRock, but this one's from BlackRock themselves. So it makes a lot of big difference. A big difference. Because there are, crypto projects that have contracts with Binance indirectly or directly, so on. With BlackRock indirect contracts, but this is a product coming straight out of BlackRock themselves. So it makes a difference. Good question. While everybody answers that question of would you buy an asset related to BlackRock themselves, their own asset on Binance, yes or no? While everyone answers that question, I'm going to go through the comment section. Let's see what the questions. By the way, this is a live, so if you do have any questions, point down in the comment section. I'm reading everyone's questions one by one and giving answers, and I shout out everyone's name as well. Let's see. I wonder how much capital gains tax BlackRock and Michael Saylor will pay on their BTC holding accounts when they cash out. They're not going to be cashing out. So regarding MicroStrategy is not going to be cashing out their Bitcoins unless they severely have to pay back. What MicroStrategy is aiming to do is become a Bitcoin bank. So they're going to be using their Bitcoin assets as collateral to keep on borrowing against it. So the chances of them selling it is slim. And that goes pretty much for any other organization as well. Hell no, as Larry thinks too corrupt. Miles, I think, oh, sorry. Can you explain about WLFI and what is the purpose is? Why would people buy into it if it's non-transferable? I don't understand. Great question. So Shelley has asked the question of why would people buy World Liberty Financial? And what is the purpose of World Liberty Financial? And why people would buy it if they can't sell it? It's also true as well. You can't sell the token. Some people are buying World Liberty Financial because they, support Donald Trump and they want to go for the token itself. I wouldn't personally do that, even though I support Donald Trump. I still wouldn't buy a token that's produced from the Trump family and two other people. I said I was going to, treat the Trump project as I normally treat any other crypto asset project. How I debate, essentially how I figure out which project to go for. It's not based on, the celebrity that's running the show, or in this case, a president that's running the show. It's, does this project have a future? Does this project essentially, what is this project trying to build? Will this project be around in 5 years' time? And does it have any licenses and contracts in place? That's all that matters to me. And it didn't take my requirements when it came to the World Liberty Financial. It didn't take my requirements of, is it going to be building something sustainable? Is it going to be, is it going to be around in 5 years' time? It doesn't have any major contracts in play. It doesn't have any major contracts in play. I don't know if it's going to be here in 5 years' time. And there's no roadmap or white paper that tells what it's going to do. The only thing we do know is it's going to be taken off the banking world. How? Nobody knows. So I'll be honest. The reason why people probably brought World Liberty Financial is because Trump. They probably brought it because of Trump, most likely. And why people will buy it? Because it's non-transferable. So the non-transferable part of the World Financial Liberty Project is for voting rights. So you get to vote basically what happens on that system. And the reason why people can't sell it also is probably due to do with regulations. And it's because they categorize the crypto asset itself as Regulation D. So the Trump crypto project, for it to not be sued by Gary Gensler, because for a fact, the other group in the United States, the Biden administration and so on, they will be trying to come after Trump for launching a crypto project with the SEC. The reason why Gary Gensler and the entire SEC cannot sue Trump for his crypto project is because it was released under Regulation D. Regulation D means that you would only be able to acquire it through essentially accredited brokers if you want to buy the crypto project for the World Liberty Financial. You can only buy it through accredited brokers, and you can only buy it if you have essentially $1 million of assets. So not everybody can have access to that token, essentially. There might be some loopholes in the middle of it, but that's what it's supposed to be. It's Regulation D. But people are probably buying it because they support Trump. I mean, I support Trump, but I'm still not buying a crypto token based out of, on anyone. For me, when it comes to crypto project, it's what is it trying to build? Is it going to be in 5 years' time? Does it have any contracts in place? No contracts, not going to be in 5 years' time, and it's not going to be sustainable, whatever they're building, not for me. So that's what I would say regarding that matter. They're probably buying because of Trump, not because it's a great project. Miles, I think this bull run will not be like the previous bull run because institutions manipulation. They will make sure they will not let us make money. The institutions will not let you make money. Incorrect. To make money, you have to follow the money. Okay, if you want to follow the money, institutions follow the institutions to follow the money. In other words, so on the matter of this bull run is not going to be like previous bull runs. I know, I've been saying this since 2023 regarding this bull run not being like the previous runs. I've been saying this since 2000. I said in 2004, everything I said in 2023 of what's going to be happening in 2024, which we're in right now, 2024. Everything I said has came true, back to back, like a domino effect. I said there's going to be more institutions inside of 2024. We have more institutions in 2024. I said there's going to be essentially countries launching into CBDCs in 2024. We've had India launch CBDCs. We've had multiple countries launch CBDCs. I said there's going to be essentially more policy in 2024, which we already got. I said there's going to be more institutions in 2024, which we have. We have more institutions than ever before. We have Goldman Sachs, Franklin Templeton, Black, the list goes on. I said there's going to be more banks in 2024. We have more banks in 2024 than ever before. Everything I said happened like a domino effect. But what did I also say on top of all of those things? I said we're going to get more banks, more institutions. I said we're going to get more directors, more executives, more of any of these types of categories. Essentially the corporation sector. I said that means that we're going to get more manipulation and more corruption in 2024. I said this. But I also said with more manipulation and corruption comes more money. So, Funky Brother said, Miles, I think this bull run will not be like the previous bull run. I know. I said this already in 2023 of what's going to be happening in 2024, which everything happened as I said. And regarding the matter of because the institutions of manipulation, I know more manipulation and corruption also equals more money. And then you said they will not let us make money. You can make money if you position yourself correctly. What else have I also been saying for the longest time? If you want to make money, the next clientele inside the crypto section are institutional clientele. This is something that I said, and then Grayscale said the same thing. Grayscale said the next clientele or institutional clientele. Goldman Sachs said the next clientele or institutional clientele. Franklin Templeton said the next clientele or institutional. I said all these things before any of these institutions ever came out and give the people the words. So, knowing that the next clientele and the clientele that we're already in is institutional clientele, what did I also say? I said choose projects that will benefit you, that are positive for institutions. I said choose crypto projects with more institutions coming in, it's better for you. I said choose crypto projects with more banks coming inside the crypto space, it's better for you. I said choose crypto projects with more regulations coming, it's better for you, as in you positive, as in you benefit from it. I said don't go against the banks by choosing crypto projects that go against the banks. Don't choose projects that are going against regulations, and don't choose projects that are going against institutions. I said choose crypto projects that are going to benefit you with the banks, institutions, and regulations coming in. So if you position yourself correctly, you will make an incredible amount. If you position yourself incorrectly and go against the banks, go against institutions, and go against the so on and so on, then obviously you're going to make a massive loss. So, and the question of Miles, I think this bull run will not be like the previous bull runs. I know. I said this in 2023. And regarding that, because of institutional manipulation, I know more manipulation and corruption equals more money. And they will not let us make money. Next clientele, institutions. Position yourself in favor of institutions. Please, in depth, what is a tokenization and how will it measure play in the business globally? Everything around the world is going to become tokenized. So bonds, derivatives market space will become tokenized. Bonds will become tokenized. Art, anything of asset-wise. So vehicles, properties, apartments, buildings, commercial buildings, residential buildings, anything you can think of. Your house keys could probably, somewhere down the line, maybe even, they'll probably become digital NFTs as well and tokenization. But anything will become tokenized. So it's bringing that value. So it's like your house. Imagine your house becomes tokenized. Let me simplify it. Imagine your house becomes tokenized. You're bringing your house's valuation, which is in the traditional market space. My house, essentially, the valuation of my house is on the traditional market space. But if I want to put my valuation of my house on the digital market space, I would have to tokenize it to bring it in the digital world. So I'm tokenizing it. I'm bringing that value that's already in the traditional space. So let's just say, for example, my house is worth £1 million. For example, my house, let's say, is worth £1 million. But that £1 million is in the traditional market space, which is the fiat space, which is the banking world. But I want to bring that £1 million property into the digital world. How do I do that? Tokenization. So I bring my £1 million traditional financial house in the digital world by tokenizing it. And then after I tokenize my house, I can sell shares of my property to whoever wants to buy it because it's tokenized. I can multiply those shares and sell it off. I'm not saying I would do that, but I can if I wanted to. But there'll probably be policies and regulations for you to not be able to do too much because then it just goes with a massive scam. But essentially, it's bringing assets that have traditional value into a digital world, to bring that value with them into the digital world. Now, what is this also? Why all the banks, let's just see why all the banks are excited. Why are the banks excited about tokenization? Why are they essentially the corporations excited about tokenizations? The banks weren't, the banks were excited about cross-border payments, okay? The banks were happy about cross-border payments, but the banks got very excited about tokenization. Why are the banks excited about tokenizations more than the cross-border payments? Mainly because cross-border payments is going to be happening either way. They have to do cross-border payments. But tokenization adds another stream of avenue, a new money stream avenue. To what? To squeeze more money out of the retail section. So what will banks do, for example, or institutions? They would want to build a hotel. Okay, for example, they want to build a hotel. Traditionally, they would have to, if the organization wants to build a hotel, if Hilton wants to build a hotel, they would go to a bank, get a loan, and build that hotel, and then pay that loan off, correct? Now, what, for example, Hilton Hotel has done is build a hotel in El Salvador. How do they do it? By tokenizing the hotel they're going to be building, which means the retail section can fund that project to be built. This is why the banks are ecstatic as well, because banks are going to be selling out properties and tokenizations. It's just another way for banks to squeeze money out the retail section. But now how you can make money inside the retail section is because some projects might be actually good for you to enter in tokenization-wise, but some projects, it's about being the backbone of those projects. If you want to benefit like a banker, be the backbone of those projects. Don't be like the retail section who benefits by buying the tokenization itself. Bankers aren't, they're sitting behind the scenes. So if you want to, act like a banker, be the backbone of that tokenization project. So let's just say if the project's going to be run on the XRP ledger, then for a fact XRP is going to have a purpose to play in this role. So if you want to act like a banker, then XRP. If you want to act like the retail section, buy the tokenization project. Because there's not going to be a single bank lining up to buy tokenization shares, but for a fact, they will create projects that have tokenization within them that they can sell to the retail section. It's just another way to squeeze money out of people. It's a new avenue stream. But again, some tokenization projects could be incredibly, good. They'll give you some sort of benefits. For example, the Hilton Hotel that everybody can buy a tokenization share from for it to be built. It's going to have a new airport and a new Hilton Hotel and so on. It's a massive project. And they've tokenized already. And when it's fully built, you get, stays in that hotel. So these are some of the benefits. You can get stays in that hotel. You can have access to the bars in that hotel. They give benefits like access to the bar, access to the rooms, access to the spa, whatever, and so on, because you own a share of that hotel in a token and digital world. But it's a real hotel that you can walk into and do whatever you want. But it's just another avenue stream to squeeze more money out of people. Some projects might give you excellent benefits. Maybe somebody wants to have access to Hilton hotels. And some projects will just be to squeeze money out of you. But it's about bringing traditional value into a digital world. How do we bring that traditional value into a digital world? Because we have to. Because the whole world's about to go digital, and we can't leave certain assets behind in the traditional world. So it's about bringing your house into a digital world, your car into a digital world, whatever, your watches into a digital world, and so on. But yeah, it's a new avenue stream for banks to squeeze money out the retail section, because the banks were happy about cross-border payments. Okay, banks were very happy about cross-border payments, but they got very excited for tokenization because they could squeeze money out of you. It's a new avenue stream, and it falls under the category of finance, which is the #1 category in crypto space. So please explain in depth what is tokenization and what play of the measure role in globally. That's what it is, basically. That was as much depth as I can go in possible for you. Not me, not a fan. So regarding BlackRock, so I asked the question of, would you buy a BlackRock token on Binance? It's what's heading towards, because BlackRock is about to be launching a build token for collateral purposes, futures trading on Binance. By the end of the year, it should be approved. We're going to lead Q1. And I said to everyone, would you buy an asset that's BlackRock on Binance. So not, because there's a lot of crypto projects that may have indirect partnerships with BlackRock, but this is an asset coming from BlackRock themselves. So would you buy it or not? And the answers are, Susie said, not me, not a fan. Fair enough. Funky Butter said, hell no, as Larry Fink is too corrupt. Fair enough. Mike said, yes, follow the institutions. Facts. Leroy says, I agree with Funky Brother and have no vote. Susie says, ethical reasons. Fair enough. Joe says, not if it could take a value from XRP. Fair enough. If I can make money, I would buy a coin of anybody. If I can make money, I would buy a coin of anybody. That's the spirit, JP. Just depends on what it does and who is partnered with. True. I mean, if you have a BlackRock token, they can pretty much get any partnership in the world, presumably. Yes, I would. Depends on the white paper, but I'm not a fan of BlackRock. Fair enough. Yes, I would, for they will do well to bring in utilities to keep the power firm. Troy says, I go with Mike. Mike was, yes, follow the institutions. Leader says, no, I would not. No, I would be so paranoid. They hold too much power. I cannot trust them. Fair enough. I mean, these are genuinely reasons. Depend of contracts done BlackRock. Without emotions, I can pay, but if I put emotions, I'm not going to buy. Lol. Fair enough. Addy says, I'm not sure. I'm not a fan of BlackRock, but I would have to look into the coin once it was released and then make up my mind. Fair enough. Thompson, how you doing? How you been? Hello, everyone. Great to be back with you all. Let's go. How you doing, Thompson? What is clientele? Clients. Customers. Simple word. Customers. Daniel, hey, Miles. MoonPay partnered with XRP to bring to consumers. That is correct, yes. So at the Ripple Swell event, it was announced that Ripple's RLUSD token and that Ripple is working with MoonPay and a few other names that they dropped, Bitwise and so on, that is going to be working with Ripple. They have contracts going on, and yeah, they're going to be helping pushing out XRP, pushing out RLUSD. It's true, yes. It was announced at the Ripple Swell event. It was also, I read out that news think not yesterday, sorry, the day before yesterday. Miles, I thought Hilton scrapped that idea of building the hotel in El Salvador. No, still going forward apparently. Long XLM is getting engaged to MasterCard, then get married and produce more XRP. So how can they start tokenization now when there is no regulation? Well, because it's a gray area. Some banks don't mind operating in gray areas. Some banks do mind operating in gray areas. But it's a gray area because Gary Gensler has left the crypto space in a gray area. When you don't create regulations, you're leaving the entire market sector in a gray area, which means everybody can get away with anything until their time is up. So Gary Gensler, in some cases, even on purpose regarding the regulations, not bringing anything out, he's leaving the entire market space in a gray area, which means if you want to operate in that gray area, you can. And if the SEC decides to go after you someday, they could. But is the SEC going to go after BlackRock for tokenizations? Highly doubtful. Or is the SEC going to be going after essentially Goldman Sachs for tokenizations? Very doubtful. If they're going to be going after Franklin Templeton, also very doubtful. If they're going to be going after anything regarding these major corporations for tokenization purposes, very doubtful. But if a random crypto project started up doing tokenizations, then believe me, Gary Gensler will be suing them into the grounds. So Gary Gensler has left an entire crypto space in the gray area, which means do whatever you want until your time is up, which is bad. It only works out in the favor of huge organizations and huge banks, while the smaller banks and the smaller businesses, pay the price instead. So, based on the question is, so how do they start tokenization now if there is no regulations? Is gray area. more better explanation about tokenizations you can't hear anywhere else, guys. This is Miles. Let's go Cali. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. Not a lot of people, actually. Nobody inside the crypto space has talked about that part of tokenizations, because everybody inside the crypto space will tell you tokenizations is excellent, tokenizations is the biggest thing here, tokenizations is going to make everybody a lot of money. Depends what part of the spectrum you're on. If you're the banker, then yes, you're going to make a lot of money on tokenizations. If you're the consumer, the retail section, not so much. You just be earning benefits. But yeah, nobody's talked about that inside the crypto space. So do you think the regulations will happen by the end of the year? Yes. Well, Gary Gensler should be out of a job, so probably yes. But 2025, a lot of things are going to be coming in place. But by the end of the year, there should be a lot of change as well. Shiba Inu, here we go. Shiba Inu, Luna C on fire for the past 3 weeks. Just going to continue buying more of them and hopefully become able to purchase a large amount more of XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR, Algorand, and other utility tokens. Why not? Let's go, Thompson. I hope Shiba Inu and Luna C do excellent for you, so you can afford, so you can make a very good profit for yourself and go for utility projects like XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR, and Algorand. Why not? I hope the best for you. And if you want some good news about Luna C essentially has, so they're burning some of their assets. So Luna C is going to be burning quite a lot of tokens because of Terra Luna. So the Terra Luna case that's going on with Don Kwon being extradited again. So that case is going to come to an end, which means that Terra Luna is going to be closing down their operations, burning all their tokens. So Terra Luna is going to be burning their Luna C tokens and Luna tokens. And that if Luna and Luna C want to continue, it's the community that has to continue Luna C and Luna. And also on top of that, Binance is still backing Luna C no matter what. So that's good news if you're holding on Luna C. I'm holding still a bit of Luna C as well, but very long time ago. Still holding a bit. Miles, do you believe XRP can surpass ETH in the next decade? Do I believe XRP can pass ETH in the next decade? I think this is the first time that you're going to hear me not use these words. The words that I would normally typically use to answer these types of questions would be consider variable change. But I'm not going to be using those words right now. Instead, to answer the question what Daniel has put, Miles, do you believe XRP can surpass Ethereum in the next decade? My answer to that question is going to be 1 trillion %. 1 trillion %, it will. If Ripple are using, because I'm guessing everybody thought I was going to say consider variable change, but no, 1 trillion %. Not that I only think it is going to do it, but I know it's going to do it. If Ripple are using their stablecoin alongside XRP for transactions, if Ripple are going to be using their stablecoins alongside XRP for transactions, then that will affect the price of XRP, won't it? If Ripple are going to use their stablecoin alongside XRP, so RLUSD alongside XRP, yes, it's true. So Ripple, Monica Long, did come out and say that, for the millionth time, by the way, that RLUSD and XRP both being used, and that XRP plays a vital role, because it does. And I said this before and I'll say it again. Stablecoins play a different role to the XRP. So stablecoins plays the role of a stablecoin. XRP plays the medium role, which is between essentially CBDCs. So wholesale and retail CBDCs. So it's very different what XRP is doing to what RLUSD is doing. Now, is RLUSD going to be bringing value to XRP? Not directly in any sort of way, no. Indirectly, it will bring value, because Directly, it wouldn't add value. If anybody's buying RLUSD, it's not going to add value to XRP instantly. But indirectly, it would add value because it brings more eyes on the XRP ledger, which we could possibly say indirectly, RLUSD will add value to XRP because it brings more eyes on the XRP ledger. But XRP and RLUSD are both playing different parts of the essential blockchain sector and the finance department. RLUSD is only for a stable coin that could be used. XRP plays a middleman for multiple currencies to be exchanged through. Whereas RLUSD is one token going back and forwards, XRP plays the middleman role for multiple tokens just connecting to it and doing transactions. So XRP plays the bigger role. And you know, a lot of people say Ripple's not going to be using XRP, is never going to be using XRP, and so on. Those people are morons, simplest way to put it. And I put out this tweet as well a few days ago. Regarding, I put inside the Telegram, I put inside the CMF X community page. If you haven't checked it out, go and check it out. Join the X community page for this live as well. It's on my profile. But I put a tweet out because Monica Long, for the millionth time, put out, incredibly proud to share this milestone on stage at Ripple's Swell event. RLUSD is designed for financial use cases such as payments, tokenizations, and DeFi. We will use RLUSD alongside XRP in our cross-border payment solutions to enable faster, more reliable, and cost-effective cross-border transactions. So even though there are crypto influencers inside the crypto space saying that XRP will never be used and no company will ever use XRP and Ripple will never use XRP, but you have the company itself, Ripple, stating for the millionth time they're going to be using XRP, but influencers will still tell you nobody's going to use XRP. Ripple's not going to use XRP. But then you have Ripple themselves for the millionth time stating they're going to be using XRP. So the question remains, who you're going to be believing? The company or a guy who pretends he knows what he's talking about, an influencer? And I put as a tweet on top, I've always known you'd be using XRP, but given the number of clueless people inside the crypto space, there's a lot of them, I appreciate you making it crystal clear for the millionth time. Say it louder, just in case the ones still lost in the noise didn't catch it, that you're going to be using XRP. And you said it for the millionth time. Ripple has said it for the millionth time they're going to be using XRP. But still, people will tell you inside the crypto space, Ripple won't use XRP. Gary the little rat is very busy packing his bags, getting ready to leave. If Kamala wins, do you think regulations will come by the end of the year? Oh God, if Kamala wins, it's no. If Kamala Harris wins, then Gary Gensler will most likely stay where he is a little bit longer before he gets a better job. After he gets a better job, essentially. But Gary Gensler will stay where he is. Crypto will still be criticized. Regulations will still be slow. Policies will still be slow. Kamala Harris essentially went against Congress. There was a time period where Congress were going against Gary Gensler, and they still are. But there was a time period where Congress was heavily against Gary Gensler, where they try to essentially bring and push their own essentially regulations on Gary Gensler, which is what's supposed to happen. They create the regulations and the SEC is supposed to use those regulations to pursue to go against other corporations. But for somewhere down the road, Gary Gensler got confused and started making up his own regulations. But anyways, put that to one side. So Congress decided to go after Gary Gensler and push and push and push. And Gary Gensler came out with a regulation that stopped banks from being able to hold crypto assets on their balance sheets. And they had to hold them as essentially liabilities. They had to hold crypto assets as liabilities, which wasn't good for banks to hold crypto assets in general then. So the banks decided to essentially go against the SEC and go with Congress. And Congress said, you know, we're going to get rid of this regulation. It's called the ECB121. And Kamala Harris, basically the Biden administration and Joe Biden, said we will veto Congress if they try to go against the SEC and Gary Gensler. So Kamala Harris is pro-SEC. She's pro-SEC, pro-Gary Gensler. So if you want XRP, if you prefer crypto assets to do well, if you want crypto assets to do well, if you want crypto assets to do well, if you want regulations inside the United States, if you want to make money on your crypto assets, if you want blockchain to do excellent inside the United States, then Kamala Harris is not the person you should be voting for. She will ruin the crypto space, she will ruin the blockchain space, and she will damage the US economy further than it already is right now. And if you know one thing about me, I'm never wrong. No, maybe a little bit. No, never wrong. Not even once. So if you're somebody in crypto, you should not be voting for Kamala Harris. Just like just point that out. If you're in crypto and you want your XRPs to do good, you want Ripple to do good, you want crypto assets in general to do good, you want regulations, you want policies, you want to borrow against your crypto assets peacefully, you want to pay low taxes on your crypto assets, then Kamala Harris is the last person you should be voting for. She's the same person that vetoed Congress because Congress were going against Gary Gensler. And she was the person that vetoed Congress and supported Gary Gensler instead. So she will ruin crypto. She will ruin the economy. So if you're in crypto, don't vote for her. Do not vote for her because it will be the biggest mistake of your entire lifetime. I've said this before and I'll say it again. If you know one thing about me, I'm never wrong. I'm telling you what your future is going to be. If she's voted in, I'm telling you what your future is going to be in America. It's going to be 4 more years of struggle when it comes to crypto. If she wins, it's going to be 4 more years of extreme struggle when it comes to crypto assets. It's going to be 4 more years of high prices on groceries, 4 more years of high prices on gas, 4 more years of high prices on houses. It'll be ruined. Your entire economy will completely be ruined from head to toe. And forget about crypto inside the United States. If she gets into power, forget about it. America's going to be stuck in the Stone Ages because of Kamala Harris. Because there's evidence there to prove it. She vetoed Congress in support for Gary Gensler. The same man that's suing everything inside the crypto space, who's stopping the crypto space, who stifled the crypto space, who hasn't brought a single regulation in place. But yeah, the US is done for. Very honest, just saying. So do I, if Kamala wins, do you think regulations will come by the end of the year? Forget about it. It's never going to be happening. It's going to be 4 more years of struggle if this person wins. 4 more years of struggle is what's going to be happening. Lunacy, let's go. USTC, repeg to lunacy soon. I see, and I truly believe that factor will manifest sometime in the future. We are not considering any variable changes today. Why have to wait 10 years for the price increase? Then why the hell am I still holding on more ETH than XRP? Well, look, Ethereum ETFs are still in place. Miles Crystal Ball has spoken. ETH currently at 2,649, 19 cents. Let's go, Joe. Funky Brother says, Miles, hand on heart, do you believe that XRP can surpass BTC the same way it has said, the same way you just said about Ethereum, 1 trillion%? Great question. So, the question I was asked just a few questions back was, do I believe XRP is going to surpass Ethereum in a decade? Okay. Do I believe XRP is going to pass Ethereum in a decade? And my answer was 1 trillion%. Simple answer. I normally say consider variable change, but decade is a long time. Anything can change. 1 trillion%. So the next question I got asked is similar to that, which was, Miles, hand on heart. Here we go. Hand on heart. Hand on neck, by the looks of it. Hand on heart. Do you believe that XRP can surpass Bitcoin the same way as you just said about Ethereum? 1 trillion%. Do I think XRP is going to surpass Bitcoin? Yes, 1 trillion%. In a decade, 1 trillion%. It will pass both of them in a decade. 1 trillion%. I'll take it further. 1 gazillion%. 1 quadrillion%. My mother has never voted Republican after sending her YouTube videos on X in 10 years' time. My mother has never voted Republican after sending her YouTube videos on X videos. She will now be voting Republican for the first time. She's 77. Let's go, Stormy's mother. Kamala is very evil. Anyone who considers themselves a lover of God, I can't see why you would vote for someone who had abortion trailer at the rally. What an evil witch. Kamala Harris, even today, somebody at her rallies, at one of her rallies, somebody shouted out, Jesus is king, or Jesus is the Lord. So somebody shouted out during Kamala's rally, Jesus is the Lord. And she said a joke, as she thought that would be a funny situation. And she said, that's you're at the wrong rally, and they should be, go to the smaller one down the road. So she's saying basically go to a church or something somewhere down the road. And everybody laughed, and she laughed as well. She thought that was funny. Now, I'm not, a Christian or a Catholic or any sort of religion, any sort of matter, but I believe in God, and I respect everybody's religion. But don't disrespect someone's religion like that. There's been a lot of disrespect going towards religion recently. Honestly, if you're even a Christian or Catholic, there's Kamala Harris for you. Somebody says Jesus is Lord. You could have just, if you don't want to say something nice, ignore it. But don't make a joke about somebody that's religious, or somebody, since you say Jesus is Lord, don't make a joke about Jesus and say go down the road. But what can you say? These people are devil worshippers. So, what can you possibly say to this? These people don't support God in any sort of a way. They wouldn't support God through Christ. They wouldn't support God through Islam. They wouldn't support God through Judaism. They wouldn't support God through anything. They're devil worshippers. So what do you expect? Miles, and they wouldn't support God through God himself. Just God. No religion, just God. They wouldn't do that either. Miles, I understand what you're saying, but I can't take the social climate created by Donald Trump. Trust me, you should have taken that social climate, Scott. You should have taken that social climate. The economy profit on the Trump is facts. I hear you beat up Harris daily. She deserves. Kamala Harris. I'm not. Regarding Kamala Harris, I'm not sharing, fake or misinformation news on purpose or something like that, or negative news or something like that. These are all factual information regarding Kamala Harris. Factual that she vetoed Congress and essentially backed Gary Gensler. That's factual. Kamala Harris being essentially let me answer the second part of your question. What will Trump do for the US beyond crypto? Well, the eating will stop. And what I mean by that is a lot of politicians inside the United States hate Trump. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The only reason politicians will hate Trump, or any politician will hate another person, is because that person is going to stop them from taking your tax-paying money. Okay? Politicians are all corrupt. Everybody knows this. Everybody on this planet knows this, that politicians are corrupt. Not saying businessmen or businesswomen are not corrupt. Some are, some aren't. However, every politician is corrupt. There is not a single politician on this planet that you could hand on heart say not corrupt. Every single politician There's something about them. There's always a hidden agenda when it comes to politicians. So every politician worldwide is corrupt. And when it comes to businessmen or businesswomen, some are corrupt, some aren't. But we can't say the same thing about politicians. I cannot turn around and say, politicians, some are corrupt, some are nice people. No, they're all corrupt. So you have one person that can operate a country like a business, and then you have a group of politicians. I said this before and I'll say it again. Under Trump, there was 0 wars. That's a fact. It's nothing to debate about in any sort of a way. That's a fact. There was not a single war under Trump. He essentially flew over to North Korea. The same man in North Korea who said he will nuke every country if he gets a chance. Trump flew into North Korea, shook that man's hand, and put him in place. Trump stopped all wars and prevented all wars from ever happening. Do you think even for a second Russia would have invaded Ukraine? Do you think even for a second China would have thought about surrounding Taiwan, which is what's going on right now under Trump? China would never surround Taiwan under Trump. Russia would never invade essentially Ukraine under Trump. Some people will say, oh, the news will say, oh, it's because, Putin is Donald Trump's best friend. Putin is Donald Trump's best friend. That's why he's doing it. He's not Donald Trump's best friend. But let's just say he is in that scenario. Still no war. So good. If he is Donald Trump's best friend, if Putin is Donald Trump's best friend, it was still no wars. They're trying to distract you from the fact of no wars to Putin is Donald Trump's best friend. No wars is all that you should be essentially seeing that sentence, not Putin's best friend, because that can be argued and debated as much as people wanted to. But what isn't debatable is no wars. His best friend or not, no wars. So the news will always try to distract you from the factual information and by essentially adding their own, sway to the story, by adding their own slogan to the story. But there was no wars. The economy was better. When the US economy is doing excellent, the world economy is doing excellent. Crime was down. Now, people will argue that even now, that under Kamala, crime, essentially has went down. No, it hasn't. It actually went up. The FBI actually edited their data twice because they lied. Job openings. They said there's a lot of job openings. They lied. They had to edit it twice. How could you honestly want to take another 4 years of this? Another more 4 years of lies from the news. Another 4 years of manipulation from politicians. But, at the end of the day, it's your choices. If you want to vote for Kamala, you can vote for Kamala. If you want to vote for Trump, you can vote for Trump. At the end of the day, it's all your own choices. But I will never let, personally, I've always said this. I said the reason, and Scott, I've said this as well. Everybody on this live, if you've, essentially watched this live, and even last year or so on, everybody knows I've said this sentence millions of times. I said the only reason history will always repeat itself is because people are forgetful. And when people are forgetful, history will always repeat itself. And it's also because the same people that did the history back in the day are the same people running the show. Therefore, history will always repeat itself. But I said the only reason history will always repeat itself is because people are forgetful. Therefore, why would I want possibly to vote for somebody that can make me repeat history? Make me repeat the same history of gas prices going higher? Why would I want to repeat the history of gas prices going higher? Why would I want to repeat the history of grocery prices going higher? Why would I want to repeat the history of mortgage prices going higher? Why would I want to repeat the history of taxes going higher? Why would I want to repeat the history of wars happening more often? Why would I want to repeat the history? You see where I'm going with this. I will never vote for somebody that will make me go through repeating history. At the end of the day, It's your choice who you want to vote for, Kamala or Trump. But I've always said, the only reason history always repeats itself is because people are forgetful. And somewhere down the road, people who have essentially voted for Kamala have forgotten about the high oil prices, have forgotten about the high grocery prices, have forgotten about the high mortgage prices, have forgotten about the high car prices, have forgotten that most people can't afford to buy houses, have forgotten that 13 million people have entered the United States. So all of these things you've completely forgotten about. I will never vote for someone that will make me repeat history again. I've always said this. The only reason history will always repeat itself is because people are forgetful. And if you're forgetful, it's very easy for history to repeat itself. But everyone has a choice. It's freedom of choice. Vote for who you think is best fit. All Karis cares about is transgender operations and buys and girls' bathrooms rights. You can't argue with that. It's factual. Stormy, respectfully, I can't see people that love God and call themselves Christian accept Trump's behavior less towards people. Here's what I would say regarding Trump's behavior. If you support God, that's good. Any religion, whatever religion you're, supporting God in general, that's good. But what I would say is, how can you accept Trump's behavior if you support God? Nobody's perfect. Hand on heart, there's not a single person in this world that can stand up and go, I'm perfect. I've never committed a sin. I've never sweared at anyone. I've never committed a crime. Not a single person in this planet can stand up and go, hand on heart, I've never sinned. I'm so perfect. Everybody sinned. Everybody stole probably somewhere down the line. Everybody sweared somewhere down the line. Not a single person on this planet is perfect. But the only reason you're seeing this man as, somebody that you should be against, you should be against Donald Trump because, how can you support God and support this man? The question remains, are you perfect to be judging someone else? There was a story about, as I said, I'm not Christian or Catholic or Muslim or anything. I believe in God and I respect everybody's religion. But here's the thing. There's a story about Jesus where essentially they were stoning someone, and then they were about to stone someone. And because this person committed something a very long time ago. And the story was essentially, they said that, who should do it first? To this person, throw a stone, in other words. And Jesus basically turned around and said, the person that's committed no sin. I think it was Jesus, but the story was the person that's committed no sin. And you know what happened? There was no stoning that day because nobody's perfect. So if you consider yourself to be Christian or Catholic, you should have heard of that story as well. You should have heard of that story. So everybody's judging this man because of something he might have said or have said, but nobody's perfect. So I say, if you want to judge someone because of your beliefs, make sure from within you are perfect before you judge somebody else. Now, this could be you're judging a celebrity. This could be because you're judging your cousin or your father or your mother or your best friend, whoever you want to judge. But make sure first you're perfect before you judge someone else. Because for a fact, I can say nobody on this planet is perfect. Everybody's committed some sort of a sin. Everybody's sweared once or twice. Everybody's gossiped behind somebody's back. Some people have gossiped. Someone's committed a crime. Someone has done something on this planet. There's not a single human being on this planet. I refuse to believe that there's a single person on this planet that has committed nothing. That's never sinned. That's never sweared. That's never stole. That's never talked behind someone's back. I refuse to believe that. So I say, before you judge someone, make sure you're perfect from within. Because if you're a Christian or Catholic or Muslim or Jew or anything, so regarding the matter of how could you say that regarding, if you believe in it, if you're a Christian, how could you accept Trump's behavior? Nobody's perfect. Everybody has done things they're not proud of. If you're perfect, judge. You shouldn't judge either way. But if you're perfect, judge. If you've never sweared, if you've never stolen anything, if you've never gossiped, if you've never done something, committed a crime, do whatever you want. But if you have done any of those things, you're in the same category. Trump's behavior because he's confident. Stormy, I am not for either of those things. I believe in God. I hate that something like that was said. And also, Scott, if you're a Christian, as far as I'm aware, in Christianity, it's about second chances in Christianity. It's about not judging your fellow neighbors. It's about accepting other people. In Christianity, it's about essentially accepting regarding other people's sins. Thank you, Miles. For that tomorrow, I'm selling all my portfolio for XRP, XDC, all of that other rubbish coins I hold. No jokes about religion. Definitely no jokes about religion, without a doubt. I agree. And I said, many times, I respect everybody's religion. I don't have a religion, but I believe in God. And I respect everyone's religion. No matter what your religion is, I respect it. Nobody knows until the last day which ones, They call the death party. Trump on board with Jews. Yeah, I'm selling 85% of my portfolio. Exactly, Miles. Everyone needs to be respected for whatever religion serve or belief, in fairness for all. Facts. So my true dear friend, it's so beautiful. Devils, it's really got to the Olympics and last than a look-alike. Never make fun of any religion. I agree. Trump will stop taxes on Social Security, implement and trafficking policy that was removed by Biden-Harris administration. True. I respect what you're saying. I respect what you're saying as well. I live in this country and daily it is tough. Money doesn't change things socially. Money changes a lot of things socially. Money makes you happier. It makes everybody happier. If you make more money and you're able to pay off your bills quicker, it makes you happier. So socially, it will also make you happier. The reason why everybody around the world is miserable, the reason why everybody around the world in the retail section is miserable is because we can't afford to do things when we want to do them. Some people can't afford groceries, so it makes you miserable. When you go day in, day out, working 5 or 4 or 1 job, and at the end of the day, you can't make ends meet. You can't put food on your table properly. You can't take a vacation. Why? Because it all leads back to money. You can't make your parents get retired. You can't afford your medical bills. You can't afford your family's medical bills. What does that do socially to you? Miserable. So on the topic of money doesn't change things socially, it does. If everybody was making better incomes, if everybody was able to afford homes or apartments or buy a car or go on a vacation whenever they wanted, you don't think socially everything will change? You don't think people will start feeling better for themselves? People will start working out and going to the gym. People will start essentially making more money. People will start retiring their family members. People will start helping people in need. Of course it does. Money changes everything socially. Everything. The reason why the world is miserable is because people can't afford to do things that they want to do. So you'll see somebody stuck in the same job for 50 years, not taking a vacation. Why? Because he can't afford to. Money changes everything, especially socially. Especially socially. But that's the reason why the whole world is miserable. Because it all leads back to money. And faith. Another thing is faith in God. If more people have faith in God, they'll end up doing the right thing, be on the right path. But in the world we live in, it's controlled by money. It's what they've created for us. But it changes everything socially. The reason why people are miserable is because of that. It's because of money. You also want to hear about Trump involved in child trafficking situations, a lot like Democrat parties. Notice how Warren couldn't respond to detail on this topic. Yep. Miles, that's not entirely true, as the Saudis started the war with Yemen under Trump in 2020. Yeah, that time, well, no, technically they stopped that war. Crime has skyrocketed under Biden-Harris. That's true as well. Crime has skyrocketed under Biden-Harris, yes. Another 4 years of illegal immigrants crossing into our country, pure insanity. Maybe you have forgotten just that. The Dems are not tolerant. Donald Trump is tolerant to all religions. Facts. I'm a centrist. I registered Democrat. I like many things on the Republican platform and many of the Democrat platforms. I think for myself, there are a lot of things I do not like about both parties. Fair enough. No, I mean, at the end of the day, it's your vote, so whoever you want to vote for. Exactly, and people be in denial too. I love my CMF, but this is a pro-Trump group. I respect that. It's about the money to me, so I'm here for the knowledge and friendship and support. Let's go. Now, Scott, obviously, we're going to accept you no matter what. You're part of the CMF. Voting is freedom of rights, who you want to vote for. So don't worry, Scott, you're always a part of the CMF. Bringing manufacturing back to the US, also that. Securing our borders, yes. Another 4 years is very possible whenever brainwashing has most of... It's not Trump group. I don't even like Trump until I stopped watching it ever since and started reading articles for myself. Lower gas prices, bringing back oil industries, bringing down the overall prices on everyday goods. If I was American, I would definitely vote for Trump, as he has a good businessman, where Kamala was district attorney. She didn't know anything about the economy. Also true. No taxes on Social Security. True. No taxes on tips, also true. So much more. I don't want to take Miles' space. Plus, lying. Kamala has made it easy to pick a side. I choose by values. A person represents. Kamala represents nothing close to my values. A boy is a boy and a girl is a girl. Period. And God said so. Facts. But I have to say, he is the best for policy-wise. Yes. Values. Seriously, yes. Foreign policy. Sorry for so many comments. No problem. I am used to being in the minority and dealing with it. No, don't worry about it, Scott. God, what about humanity? There's a genocide going on. There's a genocide situation going on every day, to be fairly honest. Trump has the best crypto policies. It's a no-brainer. This saying of history repeat itself is because we never get to level up. We're starting at level 0 at the beginning again. Yep. Nope, I'm not perfect at all. Miles, I read a lot of judgment on this page. Nothing is said about it. You have said something about it until I post Trump. The parable applies both ways. I read the Bible and I know the parable. Yes, the Bible tells us we all have sin and come short of glory of God. Yes, thank you for that, Scott. Sorry, one last week, because we don't have one tax on less gains. Yes, this one is speaking facts. God also said, prove the spirit by the spirit. Kamala and her abortion clinics have no godly spirit. Who brings an abortion trailer to the rally? That's true as well. Who brings an abortion trailer to the rally? That's messed up. One last one, typo. You guys are pro-Trump. I am upset. I just understand it. No, I mean, Scott, you're always going to be a part of the CMS, no matter what, Scott. I don't care if you vote for Putin. Scott, you're always going to be a part of the CMF. So I couldn't, care who you vote for. You're still a part of the CMF, and you will always be a part of the CMF. And everybody inside the CMF will respect Scott's decision, no matter what. Very well said, Miles. He who cast the first stone, those individuals believe our mainstream media. That's why they sound like that. Brainwashing is a hell of a drug. I was raised Catholic. No, we are pro-God. Share the live is interesting. Let's go, Scott. Long, Miles, great sermon. Teach Miles. Stormy, let's go. I had a blast tonight. Let's go, Scott. Those facts are well said, Miles. I never proclaim perfection, because if I do, I've just made a mistake. Share the life. Let's go, Scott. Faith, I wholeheartedly agree with you, Miles. It certainly makes life a lot easier, that's for sure. Yes, it definitely does. Faith, and wholeheartedly agree with you, Miles. Good night, Miles. The CMF family, have a good night. See you tomorrow. Thank you, sometimes usual. CMF family for life. Let's go, Golden. Money makes the world go round. Facts. We need to bring back manufacturing to the United States. We are too dependent on China and other countries for our goods. Also very true as well. Facts. Now, but yes, Scott, vote for whoever you want. You're still a part of the CMF, and Scott, you will always be a part of the CMF, and everybody inside the CMF will always respect you, no matter what. So we're very grateful to actually have you inside the CMF, Scott. Trust me, very grateful. You're one of the OG members of the CMF. I'm very grateful as well. Now, as I said, now Lena sent me £10. Lena, thank you so much for the £10 donation. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Lena, for the £10 donation. It's going straight to start up the CMF hedge fund, which is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for Lena for the £10 donation. Absolutely amazing. Thank you. And we appreciate you, Miles. Have a lovely night in the family. Lena, are you going? I'm still sharing the news. Okay, one more news I'll share, and then, so XRP ETF filings that's been going on right now could bring big capital inflows, says Brad. Ripple CEO Brad shared his excitement over the recent XRP ETF filings, expressing confidence that these products could attract significant investments in both the ecosystems, in terms of the XRP ecosystems. The news comes after Bitwise and Canary Capital filed for XRP ETFs, sparking interest in the crypto communities, and with institutions willing to file XRP ETFs, it will be a great deal for all XRP funds globally who are losing faith in the system. So Brad basically did essentially an interview where he was asked the questions of, what do you think about all these ETFs that are going around for XRP? And after a long, essentially, speculation trial, XRP ETFs filings may bring XRP once again into the crypto game. In a recent interview, Thinking Crypto podcast, Brad admitted he was surprised by the timings of the filings, given the ongoing legal battle between Ripple and the SEC. Despite this, he wasn't shocked that XRP ETFs are becoming a reality. He had long predicted that XRP ETFs would follow in the footsteps of Bitcoin ETFs, which were approved earlier this year by the SEC. Grayscale's recent move to convert its digital large cap fund into a spot-based ETF, which includes XRP, further supports Brad's beliefs that these ETFs will attract more capital. He noted that Bitcoin ETFs have already drawn $21 billion since their launch and expects similar success for XRP. Brad is confident that the introduction of XRP ETFs will inject a fresh capital into both the XRP ecosystem and broader crypto markets. He believes that this is just the beginning for XRP as more institutional investors look to diversify their basket-style crypto investment products. As more XRP ETFs gain traction, the market could see a significant influx of funds, further validating XRP's role in the future of crypto investing. So, according to Brad, he was very surprised when on XRP ETFs. The filings came interesting timing for him because they're still battling on it. But Brad said the same thing I said, that it seems like the institutions don't care. The institutions that are filing in for essentially XRP ETFs at the same time the appeal situation is going on don't care about Gary Gensler. They don't care about the SEC. They don't care about the Ripple case. And these institutions just want their XRP ETFs, which is great to see. It does show that institutions are ready to essentially add more tokens to their baskets beyond Bitcoin and Ethereum. Ethereum didn't do too well, but XRP will do excellent because the price is cheaper also. So, all good things must come to an end, and they basically have right now. Thanks again for another brilliant live stream. Really appreciate it so much, Thompson. Let's go. Not yet. Politics is a touchy subject. We don't have to agree on everything. We can just agree to disagree. That's okay. Facts. Facts. All love here, CMF. Yes. Yay. Come on, XRP. Let's go, Stormy. But yeah, I mean, everybody can have different, viewpoints on when it comes to politicians. But at the end of the day, the CMF is one big family, and we all support each other, no matter what. And all good things must come to an end, and it's this live show right now. This live show, sound like a different word when I said it. This live show has come to an end. This was episode 184 of the CMF Live. If you're watching this for the first time ever, my name is Miles. I go by the persona of Crypto Miles, and this was the CMF Live. CMF stands for Crypto Miles Family. And on this live, every single night, you can tune in. I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, and policies, and so on. And we have our own Telegram group, which is completely free for anybody who wants to join. It's free forever. And we have our own X community page on X for the CMF Live. It's on my profile on X. Go check it out and join if you already haven't. Amazing place to be in. Everybody respects each other, and everybody has freedom of speech. So, and on tonight's episode of the CMF Live, we talked about XRP Brad. We talked about BlackRock and Binance regarding a token. We talked about BlackRock continuing their buying spree, $1 billion in 3 days. We talked about Platon expanding into Telegram. We talked about essentially Charles, the founder of Cardano, being very bold with his statements on what Cardano is going to achieve in a decade's time. We talked about Brics paying a little bit more detail. We also talked about the news topic on US banks essentially getting to losses of 7 times more than 2008 crisis. We also talked about the European Central Bank publishing very harsh statements regarding Bitcoin as a crypto asset and regarding taxes. Thanks, Miles, for the knowledge. Have a great night. Let's go. So we've come to the end of tonight's live. If, drop a follow, drop a like if you already haven't on X. If you watch us on X, drop a follow, drop a like. If you watch us on YouTube, drop a like if you already haven't. If you watch us on YouTube for the first time ever, subscribe if you already haven't. If you watch us on X for the first time ever and you haven't followed me, follow and tune in every single night. So, facts, all love you. Let's go, CMF. Ray, facts. Stormy, yay, XRP, come on. Thanks, Miles, for your knowledge, and have a great night. Stormy, see you tomorrow sometime as usual. Thompson, see you tomorrow sometime as usual. Scott says, I totally agree with Stormy. Let's go, Scott. JP, good night, Miles, and all CMF. Thank you for the great live. Let's go. JP, see you tomorrow, brother, same time as usual. Good night, Miles and CMF. Cali, see you tomorrow, brother, same time as usual as well. Take care, Miles and CMF. Ray, see you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. Scott says, I'm excited that we can have the conversations. Let's go, Scott. Scott, see you tomorrow, brother, same time as usual. Thanks, legend. Much appreciated. Lots covered tonight. Love your work. Shelly, let's go. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Great show. Even got God in the conf. Let's go, CZ. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Thanks, Miles, for another great live. See you tomorrow, mate. Ali, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Thanks for everything, Miles. Let's go, Scott. Scott, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Scott also put inside the comment section, I love you guys. Let's go, Scott. I love the CMF as well. I love every single one of you for tuning every single night and for engagement, for everything. The CMF wouldn't be without any of you, to be fairly honest. It wouldn't exist without any of you. Thanks for everything, Miles. Let's go, Scott. Scott, see you tomorrow, brother, sometimes as usual. Good night, Miles and CMF. Troy, see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual. I love you guys. Let's go, Scott. Love you too, brother. Shelly, night and day to all CMF families. See you tomorrow, sometimes as usual. Good night, all. Lena, see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual as well. Scott says, thanks for accepting me. Always. You're always in the CMF, no matter what, Scott. Always in the CMF. And Stormy says, love you too, Scott. So, just a quick reminder, if you haven't, like, subscribe, and follow. And put a comment after the live is done. I'll see everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. See everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual, 11:25 p.m. onwards. Good night, Miles and CMF. Thanks for a great live. Let's go for forever. See you tomorrow, but same time as usual as well. See everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. If you haven't put a like, follow, retweet, subscribe, please go and do it. Let's grow this family. Let's grow this channel. Most important, let's grow this family. See everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. 100% Miles, love you guys. Let's go, Shelly. See everybody tomorrow, same time as usual.